swimming is such a great sport. I mean, I really love it. I wasn't a particularly fit child, I wasn't particularly good at any other sport, but swimming is something I really loved, and it's really lovely to share that passion for swimming that I have and be part of this.
Well, I'm really excited that there's so many people taking part of all abilities, and I think it's great that there's lots of youngsters that can swim with their mums and dads and stuff, and a lot of people have never done this before.
This British Gas Swim Britain initiative is so important. It's a great way to get families but also friends and people involved in swimming.
They're all here to support each other, which is great morale, and hopefully will boost their confidence and self-esteem.
What we want is that in the next few years we want 500,000 people swimming regularly, and the benefits of that are huge.
It's a big challenge, but I think having events like this is really going to make a big difference to that.
Well, good morning and welcome to Tollcross International Swimming Centre for coverage of the Scottish Gas National Swimming Championships, brought to you live and exclusive by Scottish Swimming in a partnership with Glasgow Life, Scottish Gas, Speedo and QTV Sports. This is Drew Gordon, and I'll be your guide to 4 days of hopefully top-class swimming here in Glasgow's East End. It's wet at the moment as the cream of Scotland's swimming talent vies for their place on Team Scotland at the 2014 Commonwealth Games. It's the first chance to make your bid for a place in the team.
The buzz is just unbelievable just now. It's back in my hometown in Troon, everybody's talking about it, and just hopefully I can be part of that Scotland team, and if I am, it'll be a memory I'll never forget.
Since joining Scottish Gymnastics to compete at the Commonwealth Games. It's going to be my first Commonwealth Games, and no better place to do it than in our home country.
Commonwealth Games are really the only time you get to represent Scotland on its own, and yeah, it's really special. It's like your own little family really when you're on the team. Go Scotland!
Do you know what? I don't think there'll be anything to beat it. I competed at the London Olympics and that was really special, but Glasgow I think will just be something else. Go Scotland!
It's very important to have the backing of the community, the country and that. I'd like people to get behind you and enjoy what you're doing and appreciate what you do, and that's what hard work's for. Go Team Scotland!
I think it's really important that people back Team Scotland. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for everyone to come together and support the team.
There's obviously going to be a great buzz around the city, and we're really looking forward to having these spectators come out and see netball. Netball's not one of the most profile sports that we've got here, so we're really looking forward to seeing how we can really engage with the spectators and show what netball's all about. Go Scotland!
Oh, the support will be huge. If everyone turns up, it's going to be a great atmosphere. There's nothing better than playing on a badminton court with the whole crowd behind you. It's a really great feeling, and I really hope to experience it.
Being from Glasgow myself, nothing more that you want to do in your career. Homegrown, in your city, all your friends, family can all come and watch. There's nothing really more you want. Go Scotland!
Being in judo is an individual sport, but when you're in that fight and if you're down the score, if you just need that extra lift. With Glasgow 2014 coming up and the massive Scottish team that we're going to have in Glasgow, it feels like a family. Go Scotland!
It's a huge honour and it's a pinnacle of anyone's career. I was fortunate enough to play back in Melbourne a few years ago now, where the whole experience was incredible. I'm sure that Glasgow can look to emulate that.
The atmosphere in Delhi was great, even when we're halfway across the world. So to imagine what it's going to be like in Glasgow when we're in front of a home crowd, it's going to be twice as good. Go Scotland!
This will be my first games and it'll be a home game, so for me it's, as much as it's a cliche, it will be a dream come true, and just to have that support and and to have my family and friends support me at home games, it means everything to me. Go Scotland!
Couple of 200s in the middle, the 50 backstroke and 50 breaststroke, well, the short sprints, and then following the big events, the 400 IM and the 1500 freestyle. The race order, of course, just as you see it there. The faster heats are in the morning, the slower heats for the same events in the afternoon, and then the finals in the evening, an A and a B final for every event. My co-commentator this morning is David Leith. David is a former Commonwealth swimmer attending 3 games, currently a strength conditioning coach for the Institute at the University of Stirling for Sports Scotland. Welcome, Dave, and well, how would you feel at this moment in time?
Nervous, anxious, but ready to go, you know. It's going to be a very long... It's going to be a very long training process for these guys, so I think they'll just be ready to go, you know.
Do you think this is the main focus for them all?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I think the qualification process over the next 2 weeks, I think they'll really want to get off to a good start, you know.
So the British Championships, which are held here in a week's time, is that just a safety net for most of them?
Well, I think so, yeah. I mean, I think there's very little you'll be able to change in a week, you know. So I think that they're really going to want to do everything they can this week to give themselves the best chance possible.
And do you think they are all really ready to race at these very tough times?
Well, I think so, you know. If you're not ready now with the preparation these guys have had, they'll never be ready.
Yeah, professional athletes now, aren't they?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, we're looking at the 100 fly, and of course you've got Donnelly and Rachel fighting it out in the first event, the 100 freestyle. Amongst the 100 freestylers, of course, we've got some very talented Belgians over, Peter Timmers and Glenn Surgelus. These are European junior medalists and European silver medalists, and they come to this event for some race practice just off the back of some training, but more of that later. We're going to invite you, of course, to get onto YouTube, because this championship has as much to do with you at home as it does the swimmers here. We want you to play your part to make this event Scottish swimming's biggest and best ever national championships, and that's some challenge, folks. You can contact us with the social media links. Not that a man of my age uses that a lot, but to have your say, tweet us using the hashtag SGNC2014. You'll also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Scottish Swimming. And wherever you are in the world, and I know that our Antipodean friends were keen last year to get in touch, you can take a picture and Instagram it using the same hashtag SGNC2014. You're going to get sick of me telling you that, but we want you to contact us, and we'll bring the best tweets. All this social media is part of Scottish Swimming's commitment to bring you exciting, engaging coverage of our national championships and the Commonwealth Games Phase 1 selection trial. So if you'd like to keep up, then you've got to do your part. Okay, swimming video content, here's how.
Welcome to Scottish Swimming's official YouTube channel. No matter if you compete or participate in swimming, disability swimming, diving, synchro, open water, water polo or masters, if you're a teacher, tutor or coach, or simply interested in what we're up to, this is the place to find it, from wherever you are in the world. On our channel, you can watch our key events live or on demand, or simply the highlights afterwards, all for free 24/7. If you subscribe, you'll not miss any new videos. So what are you waiting for?
So that's how to get onto YouTube, and we'd like to introduce another great event being hosted this month by Scottish Swimming. It's up in the brand new Aberdeen Swim Centre, and it's the Commonwealth Games Water Polo Championships. A sport that's not on the Commonwealth Games, but it can be held with that title because it's held outside the time event of the championships themselves.
So if you're in Aberdeen, 5th to 12th of April, come along, Aberdeen Sports Village. For more information at scottishwomen.com/CWPC 2014.
Yeah, I do. I think there's going to be pretty close to 3 athletes per event. To be honest with you, I think there's a lot of athletes that are going to be extremely well prepared. I think a lot of it's going to come down to racing, you know, not just necessarily making the times.
And we're going to have a mix of the older experienced and some new talent.
Yeah, definitely. We've got the old guns, and I think there's a lot of young kids coming through that are going to be really featuring this week.
Well, of course, the established stars, a lot of expectation on their shoulders. And of course, an opportunity in a home Commonwealth Games for the new talent coming through.
Jack?
Jack, any chance of me hearing more of David when he speaks?
Please welcome your referees, Tom Mills, Doris Mayer, and your starters, James Laird and Kevin Patterson. Officials, please take your seats. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first event of the morning.
Well, the officials now into place. They're as excited as anyone because this is a full rehearsal using the same systems that will be in place for the Commonwealth Games through in July, August, here at the Tollcross Swim Centre. The first event is the women's 100 butterfly, and there are 5 heats. A few withdrawals already as swimmers begin to find out just what kind of condition they're in as they come into, these championships. Just to give you an idea, the pool has been added to with extra seating across. As you can see the view now, there are extra seats going all the way back. The starting end has changed from the normal Tollcross end. And the lanes this morning are numbered 0 to 9. We're using a 10-lane facility, and all 10 lanes will be used for the heats and for the finals. 0 at the top of your picture, 9 closest to you, and the 2 seeded lanes or pole lanes, obviously bounded in these golden lane line discs to help you orient yourself. Well, Scottish Championships, Commonwealth trials and selection process underway with the women's 100 fly. The first event, 7 swimmers in the 10-lane pool. The fastest entry times are out at 1 weight. What a responsibility, David, to start the championship.
As well for some of the young kids there. Just continue to work in that breathing pattern right into the wall there. It's a tough event to do that in.
I know you see that mistake at the high levels, people who are just so anxious to get in on the pads and they break the streamlining. So the 107.44 takes us nicely into a very nice swim. And that's Lynn MacArthur just picking up that personal best time, we hope. Most of these entry times, of course, will be their fastest time over the season. And that's the first target, is to come here prepared and to make sure you get a personal best time. Heat 2 then, underway. Heats starting to fill up, all 10 swimmers listed. So a bright, strong start there. Lane 2. This is part of a very, very successful Viams swim club from Belgium. A little close to the pad on the turn there, but you can see it's nice and strong. Nice length on the stroke too, David.
Yeah, beautiful stroke there. Strong Belgian squad here. You can just hold that rhythm together right into the wall, you're going to see a pretty decent time coming in. Strong in a number of events.
Tara Howarth of Lincoln. Vulcans just heading the rest, who are all in a line. Remember, a 107.4 from the first heat. And Micah and Amal just getting in on a 104. Entered on a 107. But remember that for the finals, the A final is filled with the top 8 Scottish swimming times. And any non-Scots either from foreign parts or the English, the Welsh or the Irish who are here, they can go into a B final and get a second swim. But it's all focused on the A final, and for selection that's very, very important. Early doors, these A finals take precedence over a B final, take precedence over any junior final that might happen at the British Championships. So it's all about getting in that top final and doing the swim. It's good practice. It's what happens at the very top end of swimming. If you look at the American trials, it's about being in the top 3 in the A final. So heat 3 then underway. 100 fly, 2 lengths. A lot of these swimmers, of course, practicing in a short course pool, and you know, having to come to the long course. Hopefully they've had a chance to get some experience of that. Does that happen a lot for the junior clubs?
Yeah, I think we've got more access to more long course pools throughout the country, so I think that's definitely improving. Most of these guys won't be able to train full time in long course pools. Raquel Matos and Rachel Sharples here, good friends in the same team, coached by Matt Tobin.
Matos a favourite to make a team?
Definitely, I would say so. Or at least come here and put down some pretty decent times, you know. For her, she's still very young, so got a long way to go. She needs to hold it together a bit here.
It's a nice bright stroke tempo as she comes to the wall, 101.59. Now she's entered on a 60.9. Obviously she'd be dying to get underneath that minute.
I would think so, or get pretty close to it. It's a pretty good heat swim though, Drew. Pretty decent. That kind of time should feature into the finals, hopefully.
Yeah, good lead on the heat. That's the first target. Make sure you're first and hope that your time is down there. Heats this morning. The top 5 heats. We reckon top 50 swimmers normally for the entries go in the morning swims. It's an over-the-top start. Favoured in busy meets. It helps the efficiency and helps to give the swimmers. Of course, the spot on heat number 4 is the withdrawal of Hannah Miley, who was entered in the 100 reply. The 24-year-old Scottish swimmer, and it's one of Scotland's greats. Can do almost any of the events, and she has to be very careful about over-swimming at trials when she's trying to clear the time. No pre-selection for the game, so even the best of them come and take the test.
University against Emily Jones just trying to come through here. Looks like she's just going to get beaten by Fiona Donnelly for the lead.
At the time, 101.62 for Fiona Donnelly.
Again, pretty solid morning swims there.
Position there, not too far behind.
Well, that's a point you raise, you see. Trying to get British swimmers to swim fast in the heats, faster in the semis, and they're fastest in the in the finals. And a lot of the comments coming off the 2012 Olympics from British swimmers were, that's the fastest heat time I've ever swum, but it wasn't even a personal best time. So I think there's still something to look at in there, you know.
Oh, definitely. The quality of our races is going to determine how well these athletes can compete in major games.
And certainly that's why the Belgian team have come off a training camp, long course at Tenerife, right into these championships, swimming tired, but trying to do the right things, the right race preparation, the right race skills, even under unrested conditions.
I think you're right. I think they rested, the idea of an athlete being rested, being able to swim past only when they're rested is a very dated philosophy. I think these guys are going to have to be able to train to be able to race fast all the way through the year. I think that's just the nature of swimming these days.
Lane 6, Laura Dawson, trying hard to come back on a very strong start by the Belgian star, Kimberly Boyce. Kimberly, of course, European medalist, a medley swimmer, so she's got a range of events. And the Belgian team here for the whole of the 4 days, just helping to sparkle the meet up and give our swimmers real competition and let them know what the next stage is. So the people who are in development can look at what it's required to make it to the Europeans. Hopefully our best juniors get into the GB junior team, and the seniors obviously attend the Commonwealth Games coming up. Also this year in August there is a European Championships. It's held back end of August. In 2002 it clashed with the Commonwealth Games held in Manchester, and well, much hoo-ha about Britain not represented at the European Championships. A lot of people in Europe not happy at that, so the calendar was certainly sorted to avoid that problem happening again. Heat 1 then. Kimberly Boyce with a 1-4. And that was in Heat 1 of the men's 100 freestyle in the multi-class category. A good swim from all the men, young and older. Yeah, moving to the side of the pool just to clear that start. Heat 2 then of the 100 freestyle. Again, a small apology for the technical difficulties. And of course, this whole idea of commentary and streaming the championships still in the early stages of development. And one or two features that we would like to show you, like the race results. We're going to try and sort that later, but there's just been some technical difficulties because the Swiss timing people are here to put in place the full process of the Commonwealth Games systems So there's a lot of things working here at Tollcross at the same time, all making demands on the technical system as we look at Heat 2.
James Clegg running away with this. Beautiful stroke, lovely big kick, visually impaired athlete, extremely tough. Just needs to hold it together to get pretty close to that entry time, 55 high. Stephen Hogan as well, coming through a thunderous leg kick.
Clegg comes in, 57.69. Hogan has missed it by 2/100.
Very close. Very close, Stephen Hogan there to his qualifying time. 60.89, finishes with 60.91.
Clegg, 57.69.
Great swim.
Hogan, 1:1:91 in second position.
Clegg 57.69, just on the fringe of the qualifying time, but we'll get another chance. Good lead out in the heats. So the full event has 7 heats this morning. We come now to
category.
the
that is a new Scottish record for Fraser Kay.
Fraser Kay.
Fraser Kay, new national record there. Excellent stuff.
So want to see at the national championships. Personal bests, new records. And it's a good start in the second event of this first morning programme. Okay, now we have Summers listed round about the 54 mark for the 100 freestyle. And looks as though everybody here. A nice long start in lane 3 from James Daw of Loughborough, the 19-year-old.
Just going to watch Drew. They don't try to find too much speed at the start of this race by holding his breath too long. Keeping it long, keeping it relaxed. So it gives you something to work home with.
Good out the wall. Lane 4. Galen Vale of Loughborough, obviously chasing his teammate down. He's got the fastest entry time of 53.94 for this heat. And just showing at the edge, but also from Loughborough, Stephen Rennick, 54.01. Looks as if he may have the better of this at the end as Summers in 3 and 4 fade. And it's 5:53.16 sets this event rolling onto some of the faster times. We're looking at Heat 7 and the entry time of 50 point, and obviously trying to go sub 50 is a main target still. It's good for everybody.
Coming in here. Needs to keep it long.
Head down, get in, 52.46. What a very nice swim. Looked as though he was ready for that. A 53, a couple of 53s following, and then everybody on 54. So certainly the early signs are that Summers are up and ready.
Here at race. Great job from Greg there. That's the way to do it in the heats out in those outside lanes. Just get out there.
Spot very quickly in first action, coming from some of Scotland's top swimmers. because these are the seeded heats. The circle seeding, putting Rennick in 4, Robbie Rennick, 25-year-old, up against the young upstarts. And a good swim from David Thompson of Loughborough in 6, just making this a really strong race. Slight psychological disadvantage going in the first of the seeded heats. You're just not sure just how hard to go. They're entered on 49s and 50s, but it's the first swim coming off, obviously, the preparation, ready for some peak swimming. There's a bit of race cobwebs being shaken out, I think, in the first swim.
Definitely. Robbie's just so strong at the back end of that race. 50.2. Stephen Milne, 51.01. He's going to feature in the distance events. One of the strongest distance swimmers that we've got. Very, very tough athlete.
Yeah, he's probably not focusing on the 100, but obviously there's a relay slot there that he wants to pick up.
It's not slow, you know, not at all for a 4 and a 1500 swimmer.
Heat 6 then, the penultimate heat. And we see Dieter Diekonink from Viamsen, Belgium. Very long stroking in lane 4. 2 yellow lanes, 4 furthest away from you, 5 closest to us. 0 at the top, lane 9 at the bottom. 10 lanes, of course, you've got to be very busy with your eyes. Rob Bale in 5, looking to come out strong, but it's a very good run by Edinburgh University's Richard Schaefers. Again, one of the potential swimmers for a team place. And not hanging about, having seen that 51 from breaststroke, an event that all swimmers can do at some stage in their career, and that's why it's so popular. But it's a very, very competitive event for the Commonwealth team, because not only do you have the individual event, but you could be looking at a slot for either 4th place in the relay, because there are 3 swimmers entered for any event in the Commonwealth Games, and also they could be looking at putting in, as the Americans call it, an alternate. They usually have 4 of them, but Commonwealth, we'll be lucky if we get 1 reserve in there, but it'd be good to see a reserve get into the team, because well, many a slip twixt cup and lip when you go to these major meets, and you want to have a good safety net, especially for the team events.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next event, event 103, the women's 200
So the women's 200 freestyle coming up. At the very top end of the sport, it's very much a sprint event. A little bit of tactics, but for the times nowadays, it's almost pure sprint. And the conditioning that they have to be able to hold it. Obviously, it's not an all-out sprint all the way. Human body's just not capable of that kind of performance. But it's certainly very much all about speed. Again, heat 1 of the 5 heats this morning. Up at the top, 0, 1 and 2. We have the multi-class swimmers. And then 4 across the 9. They'll be able-bodied down at 2:11. So 200 freestyle. So what's a basic plan for this, David?
Well, I think they'll be looking, as they say, it's all about the speed, but it's a long event to go for a sprint for the whole thing, so it's a very, very tactical race. I think what they'll be looking to do is get down that first length in as good shape as possible and come off and start building the next 350s so they can really wind up as strong as possible. Every athlete will have different strengths they'll be playing to. Obviously, some will be a little quicker. They'll want to utilise that speed and get out there as quickly and as easily as possible. Others will be waiting as long as they can and coming through with as much strength at the back end as possible.
Now, when you say building the next 350s, obviously you're getting tired. So how do you build?
Well, you're basically just trying to pace yourself so that you can maintain your stroke rate, you can maintain your stroke length, and you can maintain your split time so you don't drop off too much. So a real key thing is just keeping that stroke length, you know. Watching these athletes, it looks very easy, but let me tell you, keep that work rate going for that whole time is very, very, very tough.
So says a sprinter.
Yeah, exactly. Done it wrong many times. Paid the price.
Get your head round this, because it's not often you see a 10-lane facility being used fully. More and more these days at the top events. But to get some of the faster times, they like to sometimes only use 8 lanes of the 10-lane pool, leave lane 0 and lane 9 clear, quiet, and to take all these waves that are created by the athletes. influence on her will be in there for posterity, David. So
Absolutely.
I hope you're a good friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Tough as boots, Gilchrist swims to 2:02.49 and just lights up the event a little bit. And on 2:03.8, so is 2:02 likely to be a personal best?
No, I think it's maybe just a bit short, but it's not far away. She's been working hard on a law degree as well, so she's very, very busy young woman. Very smart, very tough.
Well, good correlation between top athletes in any sport and obviously intelligence and academic ability. Well, 2:02 then, leading the way, and that's what's on offer. Lane 4. No swim from Caitlin McClatchy.
I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. Oh, she's in the next heat, I think. It's Hannah Miley that's not in there. Again, Hannah probably just entering a lot of events and making a little bit of a smarter choice when she gets down to the meet.
Yeah, we're used to seeing her swim almost everything in the programme.
Under the sun, absolutely.
Very interesting from the British champion. Nice swim over there, Jessica Christie, South Aberdeen. Doing what you asked, David, nice and long, nice and steady at the front end of this 200.
It's got to be, you've got to find that speed with the most economy as possible. Lovely long stroke there.
Split time then, just on the minute. So it's now all about conditioning. We've seen a 2:02. Obviously the bigger difference between the first half and the second half is a measure of your endurance, stroke speed. Now in lane 5, just coming through, Aisha Thompson of Loughborough. Just giving it a little race here.
Scots progress to the final. The non-Scots will have a chance to swim in the final.
Now 5 Summers edging it together.
There in the centre of the pool.
In 5, Aisha Thornton of Loughborough just edging it slightly. You normally expect to see a slight pickup at this point, 10-15 metres out. You want to get in there.
Yeah, they need to. You need to get that head-to-head race and get your hand on the wall first.
Don't leave any swim in the pool. No regrets. But it ends up, Thornton takes the touch, 2:04.74.
Get in ahead of Mary Kate McDowell with Rebecca Murray in 4th position. Very close between the top 4 there.
2:04.74 then. I believe you've been having some audio problems. We haven't had any audio problems, so it's news to us. But again, it's, well, technical. It's a long way to the internet and obviously a longer way to your computer. But we do apologise, and we're trying to keep our eyes on what's happening there and to correct it as quickly as possible. 2:02 then, still leading the way from Gilchrist. Now we come to the business end of the event. Rachel O'Donnell Carnegie in 5, going out with Caitlin McClatchy of Edinburgh University. McClatchy, of course, in and out of the British team over the many years since she popped up to fame at those Montreal World Championships, and a bronze in the 4. Obviously, age and the long service to the sport means that she's looking now at the 200 as probably her main event rather than the 4. And still that deceptively strong, beautiful stroke coming from lane 4, David.
Absolutely. The Commonwealth champion got to 6 in this event.
Between illness, injury, and clubs, and also I think she had never thought she
can get that.
Record holder on 156. She wasn't beginning at 036. So again, good on the mix. Nice to see them into those A finals. Good pitch in the heats, but a very tough time to challenge. So looking not a bad event at 200, but well, a little away from obviously our competitors.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think over the next couple of weeks things will become a little bit clearer. Certainly I think a little bit of a tactical game being played this morning. So it'll all come out in the wash, I think, this afternoon, and then again next week. Being a better idea to see where we're at in terms of relays and whatnot. But I think Caitlin definitely just putting something solid together there. She'll build on that over the next couple of weeks for sure.
Well, a 2:00 in the heats really sets it up nicely for that 1:59 low, you know, qualifying time for the 200.
I think so. I think she's got that well within her grasp. You know, I think she's done that time this year already. I think she'll put something, you know, significantly under that, I think, this evening. I don't see any reason why not. And then, like I say, if she can get that together and get onto that squad list, I think she'll really get together with her coach Chris Jones and really get a block of training together that'll get her up to that top level of conditioning.
Yeah, still a way to go, isn't there, between trials and the actual games themselves. This is something that British Swimming has been playing around with, although they've only had really one experiment last year, putting the trials close to the main event.
Yeah, it's always a tough thing to do, but like we talked about earlier, I think the idea of the two races in the year where you can swim fast and the rest of it you can train through and swim slow, I think that's a slightly dated approach now. I think most of these guys will be able to swim pretty quickly all the way through the year.
Well, we know they can, but it's creating the opportunity and taking the, you know, making the program work that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see there's still a debate at the top end, isn't there, about how many races do you do. I mean, if you look at the World Cup and Katinka Horseshoe going all around the world, that's really about money. It's about how much money can you earn, and using those races as part of your training, and just swimming fast all the time and training in the background. But very different for the swimmers at this level.
Definitely, and it's a very difficult thing to do, especially for somebody at Caitlin's stage in her career. It's a very difficult thing to do. I think you'll more likely find that, you know, she'll have periods of very intense training in the lead up to the race, but certainly won't be like that all the way through the year after year after year. You just can't do it.
Yeah, well, we have to learn some things from the people at the top. You know, if you look at the Americans that are the #1 nation in the world, you know, they're racing every fortnight because a lot of them are in the NCAA program at college or university. It's not for everybody, and certainly when they race, it's in short course yards most of the time, and that's obviously a delight after long, hard training in your home pool. But it's something that you've got to look at, and of course, putting the trials so close to the actual event is It's never done them any harm. So you've got to learn some things from that kind of experience and history of the sport. As we look now at heat 4 this morning, the men's 200 butterfly.
One of the tough events in the programme, obviously very exciting at the Olympic Games. Phelps was stormed, of course, by South African, but still a very tough event on any programme, and well, we can see that there are 5 heats this morning. We're right out there, 29 due for the first 50. Give us a little thought on the 200 butterfly, David. Well, there's so much on real freestyle. Technically, you have to be really on the game. You can't afford to lose more energy, and you need to be early on it.
So the Summers in the water. That's heat 1 of the men's 200 butterfly. And heat 2 underway as we suffer. The butterfly, some are suffering in the water, and we are suffering technical difficulties across the internet. It's a very, very fast start from Craig Barnes of Carnegie, a club famous for producing tough, hard swimmers over many, many years, but looks a little bit too fast for me.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to say. Sometimes you can't really have too fast, you can definitely have too hard. Let's hope that he's managed to pace this right and just get that stroke rate up, but just keep it nice and relaxed at the same time so he leaves himself something to come home with.
Well, still high out the water in lane 4. Just being out-touched. Leslie Ross just nicking it at the 100 in a 101.38. Now, it's about endurance, second half swimming. Holding length, holding form. And this is where a little bit of the conditioning of the legs is very important. Really need to keep the body up, help with that streamlining. Arms going a little bit wider as he looks like a relief turn there, almost stuck to the pad there.
Let me tell you, when you come up and you take that first breath off the wall in that last 50, it just looks like a long, long way. Especially if you don't get the pacing right.
Well, Ross Leslie, South Lanark 15-year-old, 2:16.4 on the entry. Craig Barnes dying a little death there in the middle for us. Heads all very high, hips very low. A lot of learning to go. 2:13, entered on 2:16, so looks good. Out in a 1, back in a 13. Huge drop off. And of course that's the age and stage that we're at for that swimmer.
Definitely, a lot of learning to go there, but a lot of ability, you know, plenty stroke rate, plenty speed. Just as he gets older, he'll learn to pace that a little bit better, spread his efforts throughout the whole race. Can't fault his guts.
No, good commitment.
Definitely.
And, you know, didn't go out quite as fast on the first 50. Took the middle part, and then just started to stretch away. 2:13 from heat number 2. 5 heats, so this is a seeded heat. In the middle, you've got Adam Fall of Loughborough, you've got Schranek of Carnegie, Surgelus of the Belgian club Viamps, and Curtis Coulter from Ulster, also in there, Eddie Gray, City of Glasgow. Now, 2:13s have been the times. Entry times ranging from a 1:59 out to 2:13. So you'd expect in the seeded heats to maybe have a slight arrowhead formation both during the event and at the finish.
Mark Schranek, absolutely beautiful swimmer. Looks like his father at Carnegie. Like you mentioned, I think he'll be heading out to the States to swim in the NCAA Division 1 program next year. A lot of ability across a lot of distances and events too.
Looks like he is at halfway.
57-7 on the split. 200 fly. 159.2 is the challenging qualifying time. Nice pickup of rhythm there on the third 50 from Shranek. Trying hard to stay with him. Adam Fall, Loughborough, also looking strong. One of those smaller frames, David. Very powerful in the chest, just like a butterfly.
Yeah, he's looking real strong actually, lane 3. He's really working at the minute.
Now this is what we need. We need competitive racing. It's not just about the times, it's about beating people, and it's about having somebody there to help you break the barriers, to take you where you've not been before. Shranek responding. Heat 3. Got to put the good time on the board in the first of the seeded heats. 2 more heats to follow. He holds off the challenge of the Loughborough Summers and finishes with a 2:03.91. So some 4 to 5 second drop off. Good for a 200 butterflyer at that pace, out in a 57. So doing the job then, the Carnegie swimmer, a man expected to be in the team. Over the top, starting heat number 4. Cameron Brodie of Stirling University in 4. The main man in this heat from the Times with a 1:58. Dan Wallace, back from the United States, representing Warrender. Wallace, silver medal at the very quick NC2A Championships. Short course yards. Just a week ago, this will seem a long way for him.
Oh, definitely. A very well conditioned athlete though. This is no problem for Dan to complete this event. 400 IM swimmer, so he's very, very strong, very fit.
Yes, and Wallace out of that very tough Florida program. And they did well to hold third place in that very hot competitive arena of the United States NC2A Championships, traditionally held in March, sometimes just slipping into April. Again through in 57.62, the touch just going to Brodie. And Brodie making a break after that turn. Had company going in.
See Dan coming through now. He's put a bit of a drive into his kick. He's really coming through strong. A good last 50 tussle this one.
Craig Bowman just being overtaken by Wallace, who comes up on the shoulder. And again you see that long turn. Wallace getting a chance to chase the hare. Brodie 57. It's a 2-man race, 15 to go. Now, do we want the touch? Brodie picking up, very erratic, breathing every wall, the head down now, but Wallace, really tall swimmer, stretching into a 2:01.06 second place. Brodie just taking it, getting under the 2:01 and finishing on 2:00.92. The rest from 2:04, 2:05 outward. A lot of swimmers entered on 2:05s, 2:06s, so again some good personal best times coming from heat 4 of the 5 in the 200 butterfly. People getting a chance to see what kind of swimmer Dan Wallace is. A lot of swimmers over the years have come back from the American program and not quite in as good a shape, but Wallace looking strong in his first event. 2:00, 2:01 then the marker for the 5th and final heat, and we see Van der Straat of Viams in 4 with the 1:57 fastest entry time. Next door, Lewis Smith, University of Stirling, and Alistair Miley in 2, Ross Muir on the other side of the main men. Sean Campsey of Warnder in 6, going out with Lewis.
Very experienced athletes here, Lewis. Again, a very, very tough athlete. Swims a lot of the hard events. Against his teammate Ross Muir. Sean Campsey looking good here.
Sean Campsey entered on a 2:04. Well, he's out in the 59s. It's a slower heat pace. 58.8. We've had 57s on the way through, and that's a little bit of the, the psychological effect of having to swim the first of the seeded heats. Lewis then turning 50 to go. He turns in a 1:29. A good lead at this stage. A lot of swimmers using the wall. Push and drive and underwater to good effect. 3 swimmers in a line for second place. Lewis Smith starting to stretch away. That long experience telling, I think.
Definitely. It's going to really help you in the tactical events like 200 fly. Sean Campsey looking good, I would say, looking good for thereabouts his PB. Ross Muir coming through strong as well.
Ross Muir with a very strong finish to come 2:03.62 in the mix, but Lewis at 2:00.61 joins the men. Still a major battle to get under the 2 minutes long course, as we see. I can tell you that it was 2:00, then out to a couple of 2:03s, a 4 and a 7 for that heat. There's Lewis just clearing the pool. Looking at the women's 50 backstroke coming up in just a moment, as we see the summary going through the lower orders, the 15s, the 16s, but they could well be great swims for each athlete. And Lewis, Brodie, Wallace, Muir at the top end, Shranek in there as well for the A final.
It's going to set up a good battle for us later on, that one. I wouldn't like to pick out of those 4 or 5 athletes who's going to come out on top. It's going to be really one to watch.
No, I think you're right, David. That could mean a really good race and just lifting the performance if it needed any more motivation. Remember, there are still national titles to be won, and the Commonwealth Games times are the sort of supplementary target. The men's 200 butterfly, a 1:59.23, and again a batch of swimmers just pitched themselves nicely to get that qualifying time, but from their entry times they still have a little bit of leeway there to call on.
I think they'll be playing it as tactically, as smartly as possible. I think the best will in the world, you're right, we definitely need to have the ability to swim fast in the heats, but I think if you go anywhere in the world, the real smart swimmers will know exactly what it is that they need to do in the heat phase to get themselves in the best position to put something really decent together in the final. I think that's what comes with the experience. I think it's something our guys will be definitely doing. They won't want to spend more energy in the heat than they need to, because the final is where it's all going to be at, and that's where the medals are going to be won. That's where the qualification standards have got to be achieved. So it's a very tactical effort in the heat swims, I think.
Yeah, but it's a great point you make, and I think we're starting to learn and starting to adapt that into our preparation. But when you come to the championships in you know, you're a Commonwealth Games swimmer, a British swimmer, a European medalist. You know, the danger is that you just swim that little bit slow.
Yeah,
you get in a poor position for semis at the top events.
Yeah, and then you're struggling. Oh, I think it's a very different thing. I think you're definitely right. The approach to the major games, certainly for somebody like me who at that level was a bit of an also-ran, we really had to focus on the heat as being my final, you know, in order to have any chance to get it back. But
well, no one. It's a bit like saying, you know, when I only got 4th at the Olympic Games, you know, hey, you were in the final. No one's an also-ran if you're swimming at that level. We now move to the 50-metre events, the backstroke followed by breaststroke. Women's backstroke, men's breaststroke. Again, we're limited to 5 heats. This is to keep the programme short for the top swimmers to get the maximum rest throughout the day, because it is an early start for the finals this evening. You know, for swimmers, the warm-up's 4:30, the start is 5:30.
See there, Emma Scobie, Hannah Durek, Megan Kerr,
So 50 backstroke.
Georgina Olsen, Shannon Crawford, Erin Collins, and
Summer in lane 8, of course, is swimming for the multi-class. That's Kaylee Hago.
Really nothing to choose between the swimmers.
The difficulty
here. Who's going to get the touch?
is to judge that finish, get the maximum extension of the leading arm as you hit that pad.
I couldn't split from where I was. Look at that.
There's Kaylee just battling her own 1:12.85 entry swim.
Kaylee Hagel still in the water in lane number 8.
As we said, everything is relative.
Swimmer with a disability.
Clock is still running. 32.6 for the able-bodied, the multi-class swimmer in S5, Kaylee Hago from the Stirling Swim, just about there, and a 1:14.48. I'm sure she'll be very disappointed with that. So heat 1 of 5. 32s. Again, a smattering of swimmers across the entry times, getting under the 30 seconds for long course 50.
Very difficult, Drew, for some of these, some of the multi-class swimmers to judge where they're at. You know, it's not very difficult to race out there on your own.
Yeah, backstrokers have to take account of the roof design, and if you don't have anybody beside you and feel the splashes, then you get no encouragement whatsoever. Heat 2 then. Lane 4's Cara Smith of Stirling in a 31.6. Swimmers are 15 metres to the little red mark. First one on the lane ropes. The head must break the surface of the water before that. And it's all about practice, timing, and a very special skill, that backstroke start underwater, angling up to the surface. Well, lane 4, Cara Smith, 31.82, doing the business. 31.6 entered, 31.82 in the heats.
Really nice long stroke there from Cara. Didn't break her tempo the whole way down. Utilised 15 metres underwater, which is nice to see. Good swim there.
Yeah, they talk about splash and dash for the 50 back. Really putting a lot of effort into that, the shortest distance. But it is about working either a stroke count that you know, or checking yourself as you go underneath the flags, knowing you're 5 metres out, and any kind of adjustment has to be made, certainly at that point, so that you can get maximum arch and stretch at the finish. Heat 3 then. 17-year-old Lucy Hope, first to rise in lane 5, 80 of Ramavat from the Ealing Club, of course. Very successful championships last year, and already starting to ease away, even over a 50.
A lot of power, a lot of strength from Katie. Needs to hold it together and spot that finish. Yeah, nice job. Fast time. You mentioned splash and dash, Drew. I think there's, as a sprinter myself, there's a whole. You really need to get on top of that technical side of the race. You can splash and dash all you like, but you're gonna drop off if you do that. Really, what Katie did there was a very good example of keeping your stroke long with a high tempo, but not breaking it, not letting it break down, and using the power and the speed into the last 10-15 metres of the race, the key part where everybody else begins to slow down.
Yeah, long course gives you a chance to do that. When you're in the short course pool, you know, you're at the turn, big guys, tall girls, women, they're at the wall before you know where you are.
5 strokes, turn, 5 strokes, done, yeah.
Heat number 4 then, of the 5 heats in the 50 backstroke. Well, just losing the strong stretch of the arms, lane 5's Kimberly Boyce of the Amps. A medley summer, but that extension could have been better. And gave it away to Kathleen Dawson of Warrington.
Scottish record holder in lane number 4, first to clip under that qualification standard.
Dawson
29.27. Wow, very close.
Not bouncing around too much as she gets in a 29.63 victory there.
Another one under the 30 barrier.
She's got a 28.6 to her credit. The 50 backstroke qualifying time for nomination is the 29.27. So 29.63 will just add her to a group of swimmers who will be challenging for that particular qualification. Heat 5 then. Charlotte McKenzie of First, the Falkirk group, 28.6, fastest entry time for the event. Not a lot of distance off the pad, but good drive of the butterfly legs underwater. Very low in the water from Charlotte, but very strong underneath. Much lighter in 5, Karen Reid of South Ayrshire. But lane 4 just being able to reach for the wall. Not the best the finishes I've seen, but another 29.78. That's good. That puts her in contention.
Yeah, it gets a swim under the belt as well, you know. Blows off the cobwebs and gets her settled down. She can really start to build on that, Charlotte, for the rest of the meet.
Yeah, a lot of early nerves, isn't there? The first event, and
yeah, they've probably been sitting around and getting a little bit more rest than they're used to, and you know, it's really nice to get that first swim out of the way and get everything settled down.
The provisional finalists for the men's 200 butterfly. Provisional D finalists are Lewis Smith, Cameron Brody, Dan Wallace, Ross Gill.
So the crowd beginning to swell with some of the local schools coming in to give us a bit of atmosphere and give the athletes a chance to feel what it might be like. Although I'm sure the roof will be off at a home Scottish Commonwealth Games.
It's great to see all the kids in to watch though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you know, I say to lots of adults that I meet that they should try to go to something at this level. Everybody should see something at a world level or a very high level in sport or anything. I don't care if it's the World Sheepdog Trials. You should go to a world event because it is the best that it can be.
Definitely.
You know, and getting to Olympics and Worlds is certainly very special. And to have the Commonwealth Games on the doorstep, you're seeing some of these world-class swimmers.
So a couple, 2 or 3, not too far away, just 10th of a second away. So
athletes getting a chance to savour what it'll be like.
Probably one of the best events in terms of strength and depth.
It's good for the younger ones that are competing as well, that, you know, maybe not be looking to compete in the Commonwealth Games this time around, but get a flavour of what the bigger events are like. and like you say, try to swim for that personal best time and make some improvements. You know, deserve just as much respect as the guys that are shooting for the top level. It's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, well, your first challenge and hurdle is to make a time that gets you in the national championships, and you know, it's not everybody in Scotland that are here. You're starting to look at the depth of cream, and then as you go further up the standards, that obviously gets a smaller and smaller number until you think about a place in the final of the Commonwealth Games, you know.
The work these guys put in is phenomenal, though. Even from a young age, they've been putting a lot of hours in the pool, a lot of hard yards.
Real quality here for the Scottish swimmers in the
Yeah, it's one of the tough sports in the whole of the sporting calendar, isn't it? You just need to put in the hours and the time and the distance and the commitment.
Yeah, there's no shortcuts now, not for any of these events. And you mentioned our work as a strength and conditioning coach, and every aspect of these athletes has got to be developed. And this day and age, there just isn't any room for any weaknesses or any shortcuts.
50 metres breaststroke.
But the 50 guys, they've real trouble getting specialist training and a program that's so specific to their event.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to move away from the old idea of what work is, and I think that the perception is that the distance guys put a lot of work in and the sprinters are just a bit lazy. I think in the past it's maybe been true, but I think now we've got some guys coming through that are doing all the work, all the training, and as much professionalism as the distance guys in the short event.
Yeah. And then closer to any main target, they've got to specialise. They've got to look at the different little skills that you need for each event. You can say start and turn and finish and technique all you like, but it has to become very specific, as we saw with Florent Manadou being prepared for the 53 and doing the job at the Olympics in London. Anyway, move to the men's 50 metre breaststroke. 5 heats. You're looking down at Ross Murdoch at 27.9, the fastest entry time. And in a line then, heat 1. A whole group of teenagers in here. This is certainly something that you can't swim too quickly. You need to have some time to apply the technique, the very specialist technique of the breaststroke.
Everyone closing up on
Corner line, all coming in, but it's out there. Paul Adamson in lane 8, Dundee University, and it's a 31.48 to get the event rolling.
Fair play to Paul there, getting in the outside lanes in one of the early heats and really taking it right from the start. That's the way to do it.
32.95 to Paul, swimming a 31.4 on a 50. That's a really good confidence booster, that.
Yeah, just really took it by the horns there. He owned that race.
So 50 breast for the games, it's 28.5. That's a very challenging time.
Got any number of athletes that are going to be able to do that time, Drew. It's going to be all about the racing, I think, tonight.
Yeah, got to get yourself in that final. Heat number 2. Starter having difficulty. The young crowd lacking in knowledge of the traditions and necessary procedures of the sport. Quiet at the start. Lane 6 then. Mackay, champion of Perth. Very tall, angular swimmer, but getting good distance and good rhythm on the 50. Very strong, low in the water. Lane 2, Danny Kirkham of East Lothian putting in the challenge, but it's the Red Hat of Perth in a 30.45. Strong victory there.
Great swim there. Wiles under his entry time of 31.9. Tobermory Mackay champion. What a great name.
Result there.
Well, the difficulty with a tall, rangy, lengthy limbed swimmer is, of course, the strength across the stroke, isn't it?
Definitely. Very easy to get too choppy and too short on this and just end up spinning the wheels, you know. You go nowhere in a hurry.
We do like to have lots of noise here, but once the referee's whistle goes, please, can we be as quiet as possible once the referee blows his whistle?
Well, the public address system making a plea to the young, tender crowd, but they're going to have to learn to be quiet at the start and give the athletes a chance. Athletes with a very long gap between the finish of the previous heat. Remember, 5 heats, so this is the first of the seeded heats. Ewan Ingalls of Edinburgh University in the middle of the pool, 28.19, surely a challenger. Mark Campbell in 5 for Coast. Jack Holroyd, another Edinburgh University swimmer. As David pointed out earlier, they do have a little eye on the sprint events. Just a little bit of a problem across there at the start. You can see the technical guy just sorting out a bit of the cabling. Well, this is what you don't want to see. And really the Starship should give these guys a stand down call and allow them to stay warm, stay relaxed. You know, quite often swimmers, when they're out of the water, a bit ungainly, even although they're athletes. And I think the breaststrokers win the league position for that.
This maybe just getting the starter light out there. Looks like he's just getting the starter light out there for lane 8. Maybe slightly hard of hearing. He's going to watch the light flash instead of listening out for the gun.
Yeah, good spot. Disappointed that they weren't ready for that, though.
Yeah. These guys will be ready for any sort of... They shouldn't let these little delays bother them too much.
And everybody will tell them it's only a 50.
Yeah.
Well, a long wait for Heat 3, the first of the seeded heats. And breaking very quickly, Mark Campbell of Coast, the white hat in the centre, very strong. Ewan Ingalls driving through the water. It's a bit of a lift for Campbell coming out of the water. They're now stroke for stroke going in for the last 5. Now who's on the timing? Both lunge for the wall. And Campbell takes it in 28.13.
A great swim for Mark Campbell there.
Well, gun to pad.
Yep. Looked strong, looked high, looked long all the way through the race.
Great swimming there from Mark Campbell.
Ewan Ingalls also very, very close. Quite a different stroke, but really came through quite strong at the end.
28.13. Now he just needs to do it in the A final and be in the top 3. Do the others have more to come? Heading up Heat 3. Can almost bank his place. But you know, on a 50, I've seen lots of disappointments over the years. You're sitting on a good time and that just lifts the rest of the field. But it's 10 places in the final. Campbell looking good for an evening swim and a chance to do the qualifying time. Having a little problem keeping the crowd quiet. Mark Tully in 4 for East Lothian, the main man. A 28 flat swimmer. Beautiful smooth technique. Nice clean hands at the front. challenging.
Coming through as well. Really great race from these two guys. Race each other all year round. Very, very close.
Very tight touch under the 28. Tully 27.91. Just as I said, first equal 27.91, a 28 and a 29. And the 28.1 of Campbell starting to slip already. So 4 men under the magic 30 to get it started. Remember your time, 28.5 on the breaststroke is the challenging qualifying time. And already we see Summers who are looking at an opportunity to go through that Commonwealth Games nomination door.
Another 2 or 3 guys in the next heat through that are going to be thereabouts. Ross Murdoch's had a great season. Really excited to watch this.
Yeah, the breaststrokes probably for men the most difficult event to get into selection nomination. Really crowded. Well, our young friends have learned the nature of our sport. No, not the best of underwater from Ross Murdoch, the Scottish champion, but now he's into full flow. 15 to go, starting to stretch away from a strong field.
Coming through really, really strong, really, really long. 27.28. Phenomenal time.
And that has gone, and Ross Murdoch has not only
27.28.
They well have gone to 27.28.
Wonderful swimming.
And British record for
British record. Ross Murdoch goes 27.2. That's what we would want. The former record 27.4 from Dan Slavinsky, done in the Sheffield Swim in 2013.
Not too many guys that are going to be able to go into the Commonwealth Games with that type of time.
No, and it's a heat swim.
Yeah. Medal potentials already. He's had a great season though. He's really, really coming through. They've done a great job, Ben Hickson and Sterling coaching him through this year.
Well, there's nothing like great expectations to cause a problem. It's a commentator's curse, David.
Definitely, I know.
You'll maybe join the club. We hope not. That's a wonderful swim. A British national record from Ross Murdoch. 27.28.
Just looks so long and strong all the way through that race, Drew.
And how good will he feel for the 100 birthday?
Very excited. Shows that though, we've got 6 guys there under the qualifying time in the heat swim, so that's going to be a fascinating final.
Well, the early signs are absolutely excellent. Usually on championships it takes a few days to the rest to have some effect and get the speed in the performance, but well, the Summers here showing a good level of readiness. The next event up, the women's 400 metre individual medley. We do have 5 heats, and you look forward, of course, to Hannah Miley in heat 4. Nagiri Summer on a 4:34, and we're starting with Summers out at 5:24. 100 of each stroke, butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and then freestyle. You need all-round technical ability, you need good endurance, and if you're in a race at the finish, you still need to find some speed.
These are the all-rounders, Drew, the 400 medley swimmers. no space for any weaknesses in this event at all. Both in technical ability and mindset and conditioning and training, the whole package has got to be in place.
Yeah, we're talking about sport-specific and event-specific skills, but the 400 needs everything. You've got starts, you've got turns, you've got the switches from stroke to stroke, and all these count in making the swim better and better as you develop. So the early stages, it's a tired looking butterflyer getting there in 1:10.7. Emily Horn out there in lane 6, the 16-year-old Perth swimmer. And of course the curse of the 400 is that from butterfly, which is such a hard event, you roll on your back, you've room to breathe easily, and the whole tempo of the swim just drops.
Absolutely. Take a little bit of a breather. As we go through the heats, we start getting to the more experienced girls. You'll start to see that they don't do that so much. They'll wind all the way up through the backstroke part of the race as well.
Yeah, one of the features is that you want to try and build in each stroke, because when you change from one stroke to another, you have to remember the technique. The muscle memory is good, but it takes you, 20 or so meters to get into the rhythm. So you want to see a build on that first 50 and then hold as you prepare for the next stroke change. Halfway through then, the lead has changed over the backstroke. Lexi Waller, 2:33 at the halfway mark. She's leading the Heart of Midlothian 12-year-old. Great experience to come as a 12-year-old and swim in the national championships. It used to be that the breaststroke legs sorted it all out. But not nowadays with that all-round skill and talent. So Lexi with a very short spell of fame in Heat 1.
Strongly there, and that breaststroke leg showing her strength there, dropping it on the backstroke. She's back in front now, 19.81.
This lane 6, Emily Horn of Perth, just starting to make a little bit of a gap in the breaststroke. Again, the whole tempo of the swim, trying to get distance. In the 400, trying to maximise the distance off the leg kick, but it puts a lot of strain on the legs and their conditioning to hold this stroke up over the 100. Remember, you've just done a very strong 200 of butterfly and backstroke. So good technique, good distance per stroke, and if you can, just build over the first and second 50s. 4:05 going into the freestyle. A lead of some 4 seconds in this Heat 1 of 5 heats.
3.5 second gap there, Emily Horn.
And it's almost a relief to come onto the freestyle, but it's about how much can you give to it. You don't have any regrets in the water when you hit that pad. It's about judging your endurance over the 400. So Rachel Horn, Emily Horn, sorry. Apologies to her, she has 50 to go, 4:43 at the turn. Remember, 4:05. The leg kick, very small at the moment. Just beginning to look as if she's into freestyle. Over there, Lexi Waller in second place. Very strong leg kick. The strength not coming a lot from the arms, but just trying to maintain streamlining and giving that effort all the way through the 100 freestyle. So, coming to the end of Heat 1, Emily Horn in a 5:18.9. entry time of 5:28. You'd expect a big drop from the medley swimmers, but that's huge.
Yeah, that's an enormous drop. Sometimes a little bit deceptive, some of the swimmers, if you're watching it. It looks like quite a slow turnover. It looks very long, but let me tell you, to maintain that work rate for that length of time is very, very tough. And normally about sometimes some of the swimmers, some of the ones that are the most efficient, sometimes look the most lazy sometimes in the water.
Yeah, that slow cadence, just gives a lie to the effort of holding the technique and keeping the maximum stroke length. Heat 2. In lane 4 we have Eve White of Dumfries. Next door Zoe Scott in 5, and in 3 Kate McKenzie. These are at the centre of this heat, entered on 5:19s, 5:20s. They've just seen a 5:18 popped in by Emily Horn, so a big challenge. Very, very important not to go too quick on the butterfly. Even although it's a strength, you've got to remember how you pay out your particular energy availability over the 400s. I remember the great Alex Bowman, he would do anything up to 20 starts and just get that first 50 right. Stroke count, stroke length, and being able to hit that pace accurately was key to his success. Olympic medals and world records, and it still stands there as a model to look at, learn from, and maybe put into your particular stroke. Recent years the backstrokes come up in importance. Yeah. Certainly in the women's events, a lot of the top swimmers are really making this a key leg.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really spreads out the swimmers' the backstroke leg so much. I think for this age and stage of these guys' career, they'll be really looking to work on those key skills, starts and turns, and make sure strokes are as effective as possible. If you get that at this stage, it's much easier for them to progress as they get a bit bigger and a little bit stronger and a bit more training years under. Hard thing to do, hold your skills through this event.
Yeah, well, Heat 2, David, as you say, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-olds, they're certainly at a key development stage, and if they can lay a proper platform, it's easier to build on. Halfway mark, the backstrokers often drift about the lane, even in an indoor facility. 2:29 at the halfway mark to Eve White, still holding her early lead. You can see that as she changed to breaststroke, started to swim very, very short. Nice pick up on the breaststroke from lane 7. Shannon Crawford, clubmate of Hannah Miley. And it looks as though Eve will have some company on the second half of this breaststroke. Katie McKenzie from Highland just moving through very steadily.
Funny, sometimes, Drew, you see slight sort of idiosyncrasies and similarities in the techniques and strokes of some of the swimmers from the same club. You know what I mean? Just watching that girl there. She's not at the same stage as Hannah Miley, but she's got a couple of similarities in her strokes.
It doesn't just happen in swimming, because last night at the European game they were talking about the sub having exactly the same characteristics as Ronaldo, who was substituted, and he did run and move just like him.
It just shows how influential these senior guys are in terms of forming a role model and somebody to follow, you know. They'll watch everything that they do and they'll want to emulate it.
Well, the lead has changed with 100 to go, but it isn't by much. 0.6. McKenzie taking over from White A good little battle. Now this should really pick up the last section of the hard 400 IM. Eve White not wanting to lose this, a bit hungrier, or at least able to pick it up. Just change gear a little bit. But has Mackenzie, Katie, anything left? Across the pool, 4 Summers for third place. Remember their entry times 4:19, 4:20. Got a little bit of leeway here if they can just find a little finish. They'll know where they are, they'll be glad of it. 25 to go for Mackenzie, 15 to go for the leader of heat number 2. Before we move to the seeded heats, a 5:18 in the previous heat. She's entered on 5:19.8. She's going to be under that hopefully. 5:18.4.
Smart race from Eve White. Got out from the start. Not an easy thing to do, is it? Lead that race out from the front.
No, it's hard to know in terms of pacing when people who are the same times as you have suddenly disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, where are they? They should be swimming a 5:18 with me.
Am I going too fast?
They're not there, yeah. Have I gone out a little bit too fast and too hard? Heat number 3 then. Now we're talking about 5-second improvement in the entry times. Lauren Sutherland of Midlothian heads this one up. Nikki Miller, South Lanark, Sophie Green of Elgin, the main contenders on entry time. The slowest swimmers are 5:19, so we're already hoping to see everybody swim as fast as the first 2 heats, who were both on 5:18s. Still in the teenage market here. 14, 15-year-olds. But it's good to see so many swimmers at this age in Scotland swimming such a tough event.
Oh, definitely. A really good basis to do any event off the back of 400, 200, 400 metre individual medley swims as a junior. Like I say, there is no hiding place. You've got to be skillful. You've got to be conditioned. You've got to be well prepared to do this event.
So often at this age, the 100 fly let them down. You know, they just didn't have the strength or the technique to put it into a medley. The other strokes just slightly easier in technique. And when the fly is the first quarter of the event, it plays such an important part. Now, just moving to the first of the seeded heats, we can just see that slightly quicker tempo in the backstroke.
Yeah,
better conditioned, slightly, better swimmers, and really attacking this with a nice rhythm.
Yeah, and more purpose in the backstroke leg as opposed to just sort of getting through it. Setting up a rhythm, setting up a tempo, and trying to work through the whole 100 on the back as smoothly as possible.
Well, good discipline being showed. All the heads nice and steady. Good lift to the shoulders. Nice swim there in lane 6 from Erin Holmes of South Lanark. In lane 3, Sophie Green, but the surprise lead at the moment, it's Ailey Duthie from Coast. A big lead built up on the backstroke. Now, has she given away her strengths? Very lazy turn there.
It's always interesting to watch that back to breast turn and watch how the swimmers do it. You can really tell who's working on their skills from watching that back to breast turn. There's some that drift in, touch the wall and turn around any way that they can, and there's others that have got it down to a fine art.
Is there a preference for the switch back to breast?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the majority of top level athletes are doing the touch and the flip, pushing out onto the front, into the back, into the breaststroke pull out, as opposed to the touch on the back and then just kind of get your feet onto the wall sideways. Not too many athletes doing that anymore. I would say most are touching and then flipping straight over.
Yeah, but you need speed to do that, and obviously strengthen the core.
Definitely, and momentum going into the wall.
Your business. That's your business, getting the strength in the core, David.
Yeah, strength all the way through the body and plenty of flexibility, you know. You might see that in some of the later heats that we watch. We'll see what Hannah does. Good skills by these girls though in the breaststroke. A lot of good strokes, long strokes.
Well, the surprise leader, a 5:13 entry time, 5:14 entry time from Coast, Ailey Duthie, taking her opportunity into the freestyle, and she's the one. She's got this heat to lose, and she's making them work, keeping the stroke nice and long, holding the lead at the moment. Again, good skill shown in 7. Jessica Thompson of Coast, just managing to hold that shape and streamlining in 7 and edging up to second place, but it's quite a way from the leader. Duthie of Coast, 4:33 at the turn, 5:14. Now, under 30 seconds for this last 50. That's the challenge.
I think she'll be looking at break 5:10 here. Should be pretty close to it.
.5:14.9. This is what she came with. And from the heats, this is what she's going away with. A 5:07.76. Getting ever closer to that first major barrier, the 5 minutes for the 400 IM. Your age grouper, your developer.
A 1-2 there for City of Aberdeen.
So 5:07, 5:13 the first 2 times. Ailey Duthie looks as though she put everything into that swim, as she should. Early heats. Two heats to go. In the centre, Camilla Hattersley, City of Glasgow, with a 4:45 entry time. So just able to hear the starter signal, of course, coming through the blocks for the Summers. All 10 Summers are here. Hattersley leads them out in lane 4. Orla Adams in 5 for Geary. Sally Wood of Warrender, the main challenger in this heat of the 400 IM.
Beautiful long stroke from Camilla there. Slightly short off the walls maybe, but back into the rhythm as quickly as possible.
Well, she's got a 4:46.9. It's a 4:45 point for the 400 AM qualifying. It is about A finals, so it's a good place in this heat. Doesn't need to be at her absolute best, but she'll want to do a good rehearsal. Comes to the fly. Gets 6 or 7 meters off the wall. Good control, good skills.
Most of the coaches I speak to these days, when we're talking about heat swims, we're really talking about just putting everything into practice and getting the skills and all the training that you've done and just getting a run out of all of that stuff and putting it all together. that's where the real key thing is at. And then most of them we're talking about going into the finals, we're looking at just letting everything, just letting it all happen, letting it all out and just give it everything you've got. So the really key thing about the heats is that they're able to practice all the key skills, the starts, the turns, spotting the walls, getting the tempo, getting the pace and everything, getting it all sorted so that they can just get that final swim and just let it all out.
Well, that's a fine plan if you've your odds are on that you're going to make the final.
Absolutely.
You know, obviously for the outer lanes there's still a lot of challenge, and
you just have to go for it. Yeah,
you still have to swim, and in fact you coded it yourself, you know, that the heat swim is your target swim, really.
Definitely.
But it's good to have that confidence and to be able to put that kind of, well, let's get rid of the rust of training, let's look at the rest we've had, and let's put the skills into place. It's a nice philosophy, nice approach.
I think for the younger ones, like you said earlier, they'll be trying to, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world to qualify for these championships. So some of these guys have put a lot of work in to get here. Once they get here and experience it, hopefully they'll be going away thinking that the next step will be training and trying to make the final places.
And you hope that they're excited,
yeah,
you know, and the adrenaline's pumping for them when they get their swim in their event.
Well, I think it's a great honour, actually, to compete in your national championships in any sport, you know.
Very much so, and it should go on your CV when you're older.
Definitely.
Hattersley, lovely long backstroke, and still trying to hold distance on the breaststroke. She is trying to cut down that early lead. Sally Wood of Warrender, the familiar red and white hat of that club. She's cutting the distance on the breaststroke, but the problem is, how hard is she working to cut down that distance? And Hattersley will register that as she goes for the push off the wall. So 1, 2 and 3 in the centre of the pool as expected. The only difference is a good swim from Sally Wood, and Orla Adams in 5, a 4:56 entry time, a little bit off this pace, but in third position, obviously hoping for a place in that final. 4:17 at the turn. Remember, we've had a 5:07.7 that leads the event. Not a problem for these swimmers. Hattersley looking as though it's an intelligent swim, David.
Yeah, very smooth all the way through this race, actually. Very long, controlled, very intelligent race. A lot of good skills, and she'll be very well prepared, obviously, training.
Well, the arrowhead being sharpened with a 4:50 flat for Hattersley. I'm sure that she swam a much harder swim than that to get probably a slower time. That was a very comfortable 4:50.
Yeah.
The outside lanes just completing it. The seeding showing up dramatically on heat number 4. Hattersley and Wood leading them home. 4:50, 4:56 for Wood. She's in on a 4:57, so it's a good swim already in the heats for her. And then you're out to the 5-minute mark. And the 5:07 from the previous 8 from Duthie, looking very good indeed amongst that company in a following heat. So, heat number 5 then. The first opportunity to pick up on Hannah Miley in lane 4. The Geary swimmer in her signature event, the 400 IM, long course. Her technique, her ability, her fitness, everything is just nice for this event. Often gets a little bit outpowered on the 200, but the 400 gives her a chance to use that fantastic skill. 4:45.
Sometimes struggles just to find that top end speed at world class events, but you can see here she's definitely no slouch across the flag.
The British and Scottish record holder is a 4:31, of course. A great swim in Sheffield in 2009. The last of the dodgy years in swimming, where the suits were altering the records anyhow and everywhere. That's now gone, and we're back on an even keel as far as records go, and the athletes have responded. They've come back to challenge the very tough world and national records from the what was termed the shiny suit period.
Yeah.
So if these children could only know who's in front of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you're watching one of the all-time greats of Scottish swimming, Hannah Miley. It's been a real powerhouse of our sport for the last 10 years.
Second place, lane 5, Alice Tennant of Swansea, the Anglo-Scot. And just in third place over there in 2, Rebecca Smith of Warrender. The Arrowhead, just a little bit distorted, of course, in the company of Hannah. 2:17.55 the split. And all that work on breaststroke, giving her a strong advantage, even against some of the top swimmers in the world. The others know this. Alice in second place, very clear, but it's a battle for third and fourth.
Great battle for third place here, Drew, eh? Really close between 3 or 4 swimmers.
Yeah, you'd love to get in the outside lane, wouldn't you, for a final?
Yeah.
National Championships, Commonwealth selection trials. You want to soak up that atmosphere and get that experience under your belt.
Have done that. At least 5, I think, if not 6.
So Hannah leading the field, the end of the field, by some 30 metres, leading the event by about 12-15 metres, and just showing her class, but also her professionalism. You know, it's not just about swimming because you're so much stronger, better and skillful, but it's getting that practice, as we talked about earlier, putting the skills in, because you're only as good as your last swim, really, and you have to know what adjustments you have to make from heats to finals. And this is unusual at the top end. It's one of the few kind of international events where you go heats to finals, and you don't have semis as you do now in all the major structures.
Yeah, it just shows you as well. Hannah would know there would be no point coming here in the heats and wasting her time. She'll be wanting to learn something from this race.
She can make this time. Let's give her a bit of encouragement here as she comes into
very tight for third place. It's going to be a great last 50.
Have to make the time this morning.
Just holding form, holding the pace, building through, lifting it up as you get towards the end of the race. Second place, some 25 metres behind.
She's going to be inside that Commonwealth champion.
A very comfortable 4:43.68, but the time doesn't matter in the heats. It's got to be done in the final. But great rehearsal. Hannah already starting to recover. Already working on the lactic acid and the toxins after a performance in sport. As the field begin to finish, second place went to Alice Tennant, just on the 5-minute mark, and again the 5:07 from the first of the seeded heats. Still looking in good company. A 5:06 for fifth though puts her under pressure. That swim by Duffy. So Duthie in 10th place. Rebecca Smith getting the 8th place in the 400 IM. Well, a few swimmers there knocking on the door.
Yep. A lot of athletes pretty close together. A and B finals, so we'll have 20 of those athletes that will get another chance to come back and race later on.
The 400 individual medley. Miley 4:43 for you record keepers. Hattersley with an easy 4:50. Sally Wood in third with 4:56. The only 3 swimmers to go under the 5-minute mark for the 400 IM. Tennant and Adams very close. 0.13, 0.81 to those swimmers respectively. And it's Rebecca Smith, 5:05.5. Gets the 8th place, and Duthie in an outside lane with that 5:07.76 from the first of the seeded heats. The time held up for a final place for Ailey Duthie.
Shows you how important it is to keep battling all the way to the end through, you know. All the way through the ranks. It's so important to do that, like we talked about earlier, the importance of racing. At whatever standard you're at, racing the people next to you. Particularly if it's close, you've got to fight through, you've got to fight to try and get your hand on the wall ahead.
Well, the distance swim getting the audience a bit restless because it wasn't tight racing and it wasn't close finishes. Well, no surprise coming for them. But we'll maybe be able to get a few messages to you in this next stage as we move on to the men's 1500 metre freestyle. Well, 5 heats listed. The fastest heat, of course, will be swum in the finals programme. So we have 4 heats of 1500. We are out at the 17-minute high mark, 38 and 49, 41 for the 3 swimmers in the water. Nearest to you is lane 5, first of the golden lanes, Aaron Stowe of Fife Performance Group. In 4 is Angus Cameron of Stirling. And in 3, Christopher Wall of the first group in central Scotland. 17, 49, 38 and 41 coming from lanes 3, 4 and 5. And they're on their way to hopefully bring those times down. Obviously 1500 men look at bringing it down in the early stages, maybe by even as much as 20-30 seconds, and then it starts to come down in bites of 15, then 10 seconds, and as you make your way down from 17 and a half minutes down to the likes of Stephen Milne, who's hoping to knock on the door of the 15-minute mark, that great barrier that stood for so long in the long course events.
Yeah, he'll be gunning for that barrier. We talked about him earlier. He's a really outstanding athlete to watch training. Trains like a banshee. He'll be gunning for that 1500 metre mark. He's got a lot of speed, he's got a lot of range to a lot of different events. I think that's going to hold him in really good stead. I think the job Anne Dixon's done with him at his club in Perth has just been phenomenal. Really exciting athlete to watch. Got a couple of Twitter messages coming in. That's pretty good to see. You've got a few from Swim Ulster. You guys have obviously got some athletes competing over here. I hope you're able to watch and enjoy. All the best to your athletes. Similar from University of Stirling. And whether you're watching at home or at work, if you can keep an eye on what's going on, family and friends, make sure you send us a wee tweet at hashtag SGNC 2014.
As I said, around about 17:40.
Somebody commenting on one of your quotes about the breaststroker's a little ungainly out of the water, Drew. I think that's something I would certainly agree with. Sometimes a little ungainly in the water, and anything but breaststroke, I would say. Not always, but
well, it's nice to know there's somebody out there paying attention to us, David.
Yeah. A lot of comments about Ross Murdoch's British record there. So a phenomenal swim.
Absolutely first class in the pipe opener for Murdoch. In the 50, an event at the Games, but really a lot of people discount the 50s at the moment. A number of people would like to see them removed from the programme, but they've got such a history, such a tradition, and well, there's been a lot of history and comments written about 50 metre events. Obviously much more so than in some of the longer technical events. 1500 freestyle then.
The opposite end of the spectrum at the moment anyway, for these guys. Nice strokes coming in from these guys though. Nice long rhythmical stroke with a pretty continuous 6-beat kick all the way through. Difficult thing to do in the 1500 is get the timing and get the balance of your arm pull and your kick in such a rhythm that you're able to hold it throughout.
Well, you need such conditioning, don't you? I mean, just to be able to 6-beat for 17 minutes.
You see some swimmers, there's quite a lot of differences obviously, but some swimmers will be a lot more kind of tempo based with the arms. They won't kick so much all the way through the race. I think most of the top guys these days are kicking pretty continuously throughout.
Well, of course, athletes come in all shapes and sizes, as we know, and a lot depends on your body type. The likes of Hackett was such a big man from the waist up, and it was just so much, and he could afford to go light on the 6-beat kick and then just bring it in whenever there was a close challenge, or whenever he needed to break a record.
Phenomenal range, these guys, though. You know, they're not slow. They've got enormous amount of speed, enormous amount of power, enormous amount of leg kick. You know.
Yeah, well, most freestylers would be pleased with a 50-point 100, and that's what Milne did earlier this morning. So
yeah,
you're right. Speed's necessary at certain stages, and with the more full-time professional training, the athlete, I think we're now just beginning to see the effects of, you know, between 5 and 10 years of full-time training. That's why I believe that the Rome swims that absolutely blitzed the world records, that I thought the athletes would come back, because we still had a lot of payoff to come from, you know, funding and giving them full-time programs and full-time coaches and, you know, better facilities. All that was still for me to bring a dividend to the sport, and I think it's now showing.
Yeah. Takes a lot of time. You can't make too many changes overnight, and I think one of the main things that I'm noticing is that there's a lot of the top athletes that we've got from this country actually training based in Scotland. Whereas previously we maybe had some real top level athletes, but maybe had to move outside the country to train. And I think we're starting to see more of them able to stay in the country and keep that knowledge and develop the knowledge of the coaches that work with them from a young age, and then put that back into the system.
Very close at the moment as they come to 650 meters.
Yeah, you can counter that though with the likes of there's there's a good, strong contingent from Europe who like to go to America and at least experience the American collegiate program. But it's good if we can get that same level of quality, the same level of preparation. It's always been a struggle in the UK where the schools program, you know, you don't get swimming in the primary and secondary, and you don't get coaching. In America, you've got coaches all the way through, and they're qualified, they're trained, they're certificated, and they have no jealousy to hold on to the swimmer if it's a good one. They're happy to hand it on to the next stage, whether that be high school, then college, then university. Not sure that we've quite got that into our culture.
No. I know the university, British University and College Sport organisation has really moved university sport on in the country. I think it's a lot more, taken a lot more seriously and a lot more professionally organised, and you know, some really good athletes competing across a range of sports and university programmes. The guys at University of Stirling, Chris Jones at Edinburgh Uni have done a lot of work in that area.
You're saying that because a lot of swimmers do have ability within, you know, academia, not just jobs, but they go to university, and it's important to be able to bring the two together, studies and sport. And you're right, I think there's an enlightenment there that wasn't there 10 years ago. Okay, we've got a battle at the front that's just starting to dwindle a little bit. As Aaron Stowe in 5 in this first heat. 9:24 on the way through. Trying very hard, very clean at the front. It's nice, clean water. Good control. The leg kick's continuous. It's not quite 6 feet, but it's a little interruption here and there as he breathes, but lovely streamlining and not breaking into the stroke until the 5 metre mark. It's good discipline, good skills.
Yeah, a bit of a change of the lead as well. Got Aaron Stowe leading the pack. He's taken over the lead of this race.
Well, lane 4's Angus Cameron entered on a 17:38. Struggling a bit this morning in terms of the race.
Obviously got to try and break that 110 barrier average per 100 metres to get under the 17:30.
Do that. Now we can attach slightly to the wall, but clearly the second place from Stirling.
So the strokes starting to feel the pressure. A lot of different thinking about the 1500 and where the pain is.
Yeah, in your head or in your body.
Yeah, and at what stage in the race, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not often you do a set of 1500 reps.
No. Nope. But like I say, these guys will know their split times, they'll know their 50, their 100, their 200 metre times that they've got to be holding to get around about the best time to get to what their target time is. So I think their training should have exposed them to that level of pressure, level of discomfort, which is inevitable in this event, you know. The more often you go there, I'm not sure how much of it's physiological, how much of it's psychological, but certainly the more often you experience that discomfort and you learn to just be able to handle it, you don't panic so much, and it really doesn't seem to be as bad as it first seems.
Well, you've picked up on my hobby horse, which is the whole business of rehearsal. You know, when you're tired, really tired, middle of hard block of training, and having to produce good skills, get the body to go someplace it's not been before, and just learn what it's like, take that forward. And that could be a training swim, it could be a training set, it could be an event, and even this can be something like that for a lot of these athletes.
Still a long way to go, but
crowd getting a bit restless. The 1500, of course, difficult to keep in touch with. The athletes have to be quite aware of where they are. Cracking through in 13:01 at this interim stage. A lot of 1500 swimmers talk about 11 to 1300 metres being a difficult stage, almost like the wall in the marathon. Just getting in there and really working hard to maintain stroke, tempo, length, technique, and then feeling you come out the other side and a sense of going home. Little pick up in lane 3 from Christopher Wall at a period of difficulty, but the gap definitely closing a little bit as the pressure now comes on Aaron Stowe to hold this lead. Just passing Angus Cameron on the way to that last turn. So digging in now.
It's a certain type of personality to be interested in the 1500, you don't think?
And it would be?
Oh, I don't know. Certainly somebody that, not afraid to do a lot of work and to be extremely uncomfortable. If you're going to pick an event on the swimming calendar, 1500's got to be one of the hardest.
Tough event, and it's got great pedigree.
Yep, the great Graham Smith. What a warrior he was. Lovely guy as well.
Yeah, and Mr. Wilson too.
Yep.
We've had a few, but not that many over the whole piece, but
David
certainly
Davies
made her mark.
David Davies obviously got right up to world-class levels, swimming British national record at 14:44, somewhere around about there, I think. Amazing swim.
Well, we might get an amazing finish here.
Yeah. These guys are still battling.
Good to see Christopher Wall coming back.
He's taking his hat off, I think.
You need company. No, you can do that in freestyle.
Yep.
One of those strange, lawless events. Anything but walk on the bottom.
Guys might be feeling like that at the moment. Still battling away though.
Yeah, Angus Cameron, 17:38, looked to be the man that they would have to chase, but in fact it's turned out that Christopher and Aaron having a private little battle,
Could be in for a good finish.
trying to drive it home here.
He'll be struggling to get around that 17:38 mark. Maybe a little this pace. Still a good battle though.
Well, they felt it in different places, but that can be something other than conditioning. And at the end of the day, there's a little question mark as the bells sound for the last lap, going through in 16:36, 16:42. And you can immediately see the relief coming in the leg kick and the stroke tempo.
Spurt of energy there as they come off the wall.
But you do all the hard work and you prepare and you do your peaking and tapering, and it's not until you get in the water that you really know just how it's all panning out for you. Yeah, hard. But maybe a little showboat finish. Anything in the tank?
He's left a little bit too much in himself there, maybe. Finishing very, very quickly. Could have switched that on a little earlier, perhaps, if he had something to chase.
Yeah, we're drifting away now from entry times. Been a hard, lonely swim. 17.50 for the winner. Aaron Stowe from lane 5. Second place, 17.55. Well, long course 1500. Not that many opportunities to swim it. And I'm sure that they'll pick up a lot of hints, tips and input to their event. Remember, they're 15 and 16 years of age respectively, as we now see Angus Cameron, the 16-year-old from Stirling, finish this heat. 18.28.35. I'm sure there's something far wrong there with a 17.38 man. Let's hope it's not too serious if he has other swims. So the very young crowd here in front of us learning how to be quiet for the start of the race as we move to heat 3, the first of the seeded heats. Remember, heat 5 will be swum in the evening final session. So 2 more swims from this morning programme. 1500 freestyle. And we've got a good attendance here.
Again, very good to see the wee kids. We've got those blow-up clapper things, which they obviously give them on entry, which is great.
So heat 3 sees Vincent Josatis of Stirling, Ellis Lawson in 1 for first, Mark McRae South Lanark in 2, Patrick Smith of South Ayrshire in 3, Jack Shranek of Carnegie, 16-year-old brother of Mark, in 4, and in with a 16.55, and the fastest time in 4 from the entries. In 5 is Daniel Fisher of North Lanark, James Stephen of first and 6, going out with an early break. James Murphy in 7 for Ren 96, and Alistair Robertson of Aberdeen, the 17-year-old in the field, in 8. Finlay Deans of Coast listed but not swimming this morning. So early stages. Apologies for the readout there. I'm a heat ahead of myself. This is heat 2. Coiler, Reid, Douglas, Gill at the top of your screens. Retson, Cornish, Bealey, Heald and Davidson. Davidson out this morning. That non-summer threw me a little. Apologies for that. And in 6, it's Tom Bealey of Aberdeen, 14-year-old, going out here. Early doors. Keen to get going.
Fair play to you. Get out there on the mile. Out there fast. You must be confident to do that. Must have had some good training behind him. Good skills. Good long turns. Nice stroke. Breathing at both sides.
They're all at the 17-minute plus mark. So if they swim to form, it could be a good race. In lane 4, Ryan Retson has gone a 17.20, only 13 years of age. The swimmer from the first squad, based around Falkirk district, and started off very easily, but just starting to make his way through the field. Well, Tom Bealey certainly out there on his own, but in the lead. This will keep him going for a while.
Yeah, like I say, if you're looking at that entry time of 17:25 and he's going to be clear of the 17:30 mark, needs to hold under the 110 average for each 100 metres and hold under 35 seconds for each 50. And do that, you'll be clear of the 17:30 and on for a personal best.
Well, young man with big feet. Good strong leg kick there in the early stages. Nice recovery. Keeping the streamlining. Not doing too much work to get the breath in. And as David said, nice balance to the stroke. So a marker at 4:27. The rest of the field, some 10 seconds back. A long way to make up. So at the moment, Billy's to lose as he swims through. There's some company over there in 0 and 1. James Coyler, Fraser Reid, both from Carnegie, taking it through together. But sometimes that can be a help, sometimes a hindrance. You swim to somebody else's pace.
Yeah, you don't want to get too caught up in that at too early a stage, you know. I really like what Tom Bailey's doing. He's really just gone out for it. Swimming his own race, just getting after it right from the start. Confident thing.
Well, he's on your mark. A 110. So I was saying that different views of the 1500 and different ways of approaching it. And because it's so long, you know, swimmers can bring some tactics to bear. Either see it as 3 400s and then a 300, or 3 500s, or swim on the 200 split times. All sorts of ways of approaching it. But round about that 1200, that's when the danger signs are up high.
Yeah, it's got to find the best way to break it down and to be able to deal with it and pace it and cope with the psychological aspect of swimming a mile as quickly as you can. Suggest the best things to do is not just dive in and go for it. It's not going to work out too well. You need a plan. Most of the guys will be well aware of their stroke counts, so they'll be counting their strokes. They'll be trying to hold the stroke length, which is such a key thing, so they don't begin to slip and waste energy. So just keep focusing on those skills. Like you say, break it up 3 times 500 meters and build each one, or whatever the case may be. Be very individual. You won't find too many guys just jumping in and swimming it without a plan. They'll be very well drilled, they'll be very well schooled in knowing what their pacing is. They'll be able to knock out 50s and 100s, bang on their race pace time at any point. So the race just comes to stringing together what all your training's been designed towards doing. So doesn't make it any easier. Still got to swim a mile as quickly as you can. Not for me. Couple more tweets to come out. Old mate James Thompson getting in touch there. Commenting on Ross Murdoch for that world rank topping swim. Good shout, James. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're behaving yourself. Hope Gordon, get on with your college work, you. Looking forward to racing yourself. Hope it's going well. More congratulations from Ross's teammates, Danielle Huskinson. Hope your training's going well as well. Forest Bluefins, all the best to the guys from Forest Bluefins. And from Glasgow University swim team, just wishing all the best to everybody who competes and goes to Glasgow Uni. All the best, guys.
Well, let's have a little look at this race. It's Billy's race, and we'll always remember that, how this brave young man, 14-year-old from Aberdeen, just started with a purpose. Going through in 9:06. So, really working well. Stroke doesn't seem to have disappeared at all. Good conditioning. Good application. Back in second place in lane 4. Took a time to get going. Ryan Retson, 17:20 entry time. And, well, the lead staying about the same. The gap between him and the leader, Tom Bealey. A battle for third place across lane 5. Ewan McCormick. And into Toby Douglas. And the Carnegie boys have split themselves almost on cue, as I mentioned it. And it's James Collier getting the better of that. And over here, nearest to us, in 7 and 8, we've got Oscar Held and Jordan Davidson. They've been swimming together for all of the swim. And Oscar just with a slight edge at this stage in the race. But Tom Bealey through in 10:15.
Tom really holding his skills together really, really well. If you just watch when he comes in and out of the turn, he's way past the 5 metre mark every single time he comes off the wall. He's repeating the same exact thing every single time. That just shows you the training and preparation that's gone to him doing that. It's not an accident. It's something that they'll practice time and time again.
Yeah, and it's an area that we've a lot to learn in the UK. Yep. Getting the best off the turns, cutting down the energy expenditure in the swim, and just adding a little bit of extra spice to the performance. You just know that when you watch the Olympics or the World Championships or the Europeans, you just see those top swimmers on the turn really making it count. Obviously it counts more in the shorter events, but it's just as important in the 1500, and it's a good spot by David to see that Tom is not losing on that.
110 for that last 100, still on course for
always, like you say, there's anomalies, different athletes, and we've, some of the Sun Yang swimming 400 and 1500, and his turns are horrendous. It triple breathes into the turn, in and out. He's just got such an unbelievable stroke and leg kick that he can afford to get away with it. It's really good to see that discipline in and out of the turns.
Yeah. Remember, it was such a difficult thing to insert into the Scottish programme at one time, actually driving off the wall and not breathing on the first stroke.
Yeah.
A lot of people needed help to be able to do that in training and make it part of your swim.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're right, it's starting to show in the youngsters, it's good, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So Tom Bealey holding on, gripping that lead with a strength of character in an older.
Yeah, they make them tough up north, Drew,
okay. Yeah, northeast corner there. You're better indoors, so swimming's a choice sport. It's a cutting wind up there. But it'll be warm when everybody goes up to see the Commonwealth Games water polo. So Tom Bealey, the lead just being cut down a little bit in this final stage, but it's still going to be a very, very good swim. What a commitment going through in 13:45, 1200 stage. And this is now a chance to build for the finish, but he's been just so controlled so far. The men's 1500, heat number 2. There are 4 heats of it this morning, and the 5th and final heat will be swum in the final session. The fastest 8 entered swimmers will get a chance to be in that final swim. Although it is a time ranked swim, it can come from anywhere. So Ryan Retson trying very hard to cut it down, managing to cut the gap a little bit. Bealey holding the form but not quite the strength, just as you'd expect at the end of the swim. Really tough time.
Been out on his own a long time now.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing about heat swims. If you don't get somebody next to you, it can be a really tough day at the office.
Yeah.
But doing a great job, and just about to overtake the swimmer in lane 3, Fraser Gill. Having a really hard time, Gill, this morning. And if you're off in a 1500 swim, then you're really off. It's a hurting day. Bealey's lead from 25 metres down to about 20 metres now, but just coming to the bell for the last lap.
Still looking strong, Drew.
Yeah, he's lightened up a little bit. He had 150 there, which I think he was
like you say, it's that
drifted,
that tricky patch from 1,000 to maybe 1,300 metres is the tough part. Just before the end is in sight.
The bell at 16:05, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Bealey, 14-year-old from Aberdeen, entered on 17:25. Just overtaking Gill in this last lap. Gill well behind the field, of course. Still 150 to go. A pickup from Ryan Retson in 4. The lead cut down to 14 metres over 100. He's just reduced that by 8-10 metres, but it's too late. A very slow start, maybe just a little too slow, because he's looking fresh, Retson. Bealey hanging on there, driving into the wall, 50 metres to go. Retson has cut the lead down, but he's not going to do anything on this 14-year-old. This is a super swim of a 17:25. He's in here, 17:12.22 for victory. In the second heat of the 1500, Tom Bealey does what everybody hopes they will do in a 1500 and take a good chunk off your personal best time. A future in the 1500 for Bealey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Drew, one for the future there in the 1500, not just because of the time or the performance, but the way he swam it,
Yeah, an old head on young shoulders there,
yeah.
I think.
Well disciplined, well drilled, well schooled, good skills, held it together very well.
The field, 7 of the 8 swimmers have finished, and poor Fraser Gill, 15-year-old from West Lothian, just not having a good day, and this is the wrong event to choose not to have a good day. 1500 metres. Still, everybody will have sympathy for him, and I'm sure give him a very good applause at the end of a very tough 1500 for the young man, the 15-year-old from West Lothian. But that heat swim belongs to Tom Bealey from lane 6 from Aberdeen. Shifted his best down to 17.12 in getting to the first of the sort of major barriers in the top event in the freestyle programme. Heat number 3 being called to order. See a lot more gaps in the seats across the way. That's the athletes who have competed, both finalists and the disappointed, getting away, getting the rest, getting the proper nutritional programme into place. As we move on now to Heat 3. And this is the lineup I misread earlier, so just a little recap for you. Dojatish, Sterling in 0. Out very quick in that yellow and black hat over there in lane 0. Ellis Lawson of first in 1. Mark McRae in 2. Patrick Smith, South Lanarkshire in 3. Jack Shranek of Carnegie in 4. With the fastest time for the heat at 16.55. And Fisher, the only other man under 17 minutes, Daniel thereof, 16-year-old from North Lanark. James Stephen of first in 6, James Murphy of Wren 96 and 7, Alistair Robertson, the 17-year-old from Aberdeen, has just seen Bealey do a good swim, getting under his entry time of 17.14, and Finlay Deans from Coast, 17.20 entry time, somewhere in lane 9. So that's your lineup for this particular heat, and off we go again. It's about technique, it's about pacing, and very much the 1500. It's about your psychological makeup.
Definitely. That's the point I was making earlier on. You're not likely to find many that don't have that. They just probably wouldn't pick this event, you know. So it takes a certain breed to get into this. I think a lot of coaches would encourage a lot of the younger ones to swim the longer events, including the 1500, to kind of get an idea about how to develop that kind of character about yourself. Not always be looking for the short, fast, fun stuff, but to go to hard yards as well.
Obviously, you missed the net, David. Being a 50 and 100 man.
No, I don't know. I swam a fair share of 1500s and 400s as a youngster.
No, you had the technique.
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't. As I said before, it wasn't the thing I was interested in. I enjoyed the fast stuff. Still worked hard for it. Still, as I said, did my fair share of 1500s and 400s all the way through my career in training and in competition. I think the point, what we're talking about, is that you've been able to develop that character and the strength of mind and all the kind of things that you need to do to swim a good mile.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And that's something that no matter what event you're doing, you should transfer into your training. Is that, just that ability to keep going when things are tough.
You can't be afraid of any event either as a swimmer, you know. You can't be afraid of that discomfort and the pain that comes in swimming these events. Because it's just not, you can't swim an event to try and stave off that pain as long as possible. You've got to accept that it's going to come, and you've got to learn how to deal with it. And I think the sooner you do that, the easier it becomes.
Also, the better you get, the harder the pain is.
Yeah.
Because you miss out on, 4th place at a major, disappointing swims at the top level, that can really hurt. And you're right, you need to have suffered some of these things early on to be able to add it into your programme. The programme of your personality development and your strength as an athlete.
A key thing for these guys, particularly the younger ones, not only for swimming but for later in life as well, you know. Some of the lessons that they'll learn trying to prepare and come to your national championships and compete in some of these events. It'll never leave you, you know. If you can do that and you can stand up and you can come and race and train and give everything you've got, particularly in some of these distance events, I think it stands you in good stead for whatever it is you choose to do.
Well, I know that's what you thought I thought as a coach. And you tried to push it across. Not sure the message ever arrived, so it's lovely to hear that from your good self.
Well, I think so, Drew, and you know, fond memories of when you were youth squad coach and I was in the team. I was young and stupid. Thought I knew everything, but what teenager doesn't, you know. I would say any coach that's watching out there, you know, the messages you give these kids, I think from my point of view, they will stay with them. They'll learn a lot from it. And they'll take it into whatever it is that they do, you know. Undoubtedly, such a key time to spend any time with these youngsters is so valuable for them.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Lessons for the future and what that may hold. Race developing nicely. These guys going through in 68s, round about there. So again, the heats as they progress get faster, but obviously a little more difficult to hold that pace. In the lead at the moment then, in 5, Daniel Fisher of North Lanark. Just taking an extra look to his left to see what James Stephen can produce. The first group swimmer, the 15-year-old. So a good race at the front. The early leader, Vincent, over there in Stirling, has dropped back to 3rd place, but still working hard from an outside lane. Lane 0. And lane 3, Patrick Smith of South Ayrshire, just holding that place as his own. Now, not at this pace, but in the faster events in the 1500, you can sometimes get a little toe just in the position of those two swimmers. Get a little bit of a drag, but not going fast enough to create much of that. But what the second swimmer can do is just use that as a further incentive if you ever needed it. Hound and Hare. Hare out in front, keeping nice length. Streamlining still up. Legs still working in a kind of interrupted program. The legs just trying to stay out of the way and keep the streamlining and reduce the drag on the swimmer. So there's a variety of ways of kicking in freestyle, and certainly on the 1500 that can achieve that goal. Because if you kick too much, then you're using great big muscles in the thighs, and they're expensive in terms of energy and expensive in terms of what they produce in terms of lactic acid and toxins and the usual fatigue on the body during a sporting performance. Could be a good battle, but at the moment Daniel managing to hold him off. Surprise is that Jack Schranek's not up here in this battle. Has to be another day, I think.
I think there might be a little bit of what we were talking about earlier on going on for Jack Schranek. He's a big lad, you know. I don't know him personally, but he's a big lad, and I can imagine knowing John, he'll be encouraging him to do some of the tougher things as a youngster. Not that he'll necessarily maybe want to develop as a 1500 metre swimmer later on. He might not, but I think that it's still a valuable thing to put the young guys in.
Well, the leader, Daniel Fisher, going through in 8:57.75. The 800 mark being met still got a nice pick up on the stroke. Right arm very flat in the recovery. The left arm breathing to that side, of course. Then throwing in another breath to the right hand side. It's not quite a balanced stroke, but he's certainly on both sides.
It's one of those athletes you can see just utilising as much tempo as he can and just trying to hold that rhythm as best he can. That's maybe why he's coming up really short off the walls, just to try and get right back into that rhythm as soon as possible and use his best weapons as best he can.
Yeah, he's entering a little bit to the side, but the exit nice and short on the hips, and just trying to keep that stroke rate. Just opening a gap a little bit, some 5 meters now as he gets to the wall. Going through the 9 in 10:05, and just stretching that lead a little bit. Taking no chances, and you know, the 1500 in the heat, certainly everybody's in their own little bubble. They'll have their little targets, but it is just putting it all together and hoping that if you get all the little things together, you'll get one big result at the end of the day, and that'll be a faster time than you've shown before, whatever that means to you. So digging in. Fisher out in front. Stephen in second place. Third place, it's still a battle across lane 0 and lane 3. Jatish and Patrick Smith almost stroke for stroke, quite different strokes, but in third place. Well back and having a difficult day. In lane 9, Finlay Deans entered on 17:20. A very steady swim from the leader. Looks as though he's working hard, but he's trying to match that stroke rate and tempo that he likes.
Still a great split there, 108.2 again.
The legs a little bit quieter, and then a little bit of a flurry. It's almost as if he just remembers them, or he feels it going down at the back.
500 to go.
Yeah. See, we're using the leg kick, whether it's conscious or subconscious, just to get through this, maybe the slight dead spot in the stroke. That's why it might not be all the way through, just a little period of inertia and then a burst of leg kick just to keep the momentum going through.
Well, that's his problem then. He's got a dead spot in a freestyle.
Yeah. As I said, different athletes with different approaches. Some of them might have more of a kind of catch-up type stroke, where there's a little bit more of a layoff from one stroke till the next. In which case, those swimmers tend to have a little bit of a slower tempo, a little bit more of a leg drive, as opposed to some of the other guys with a more continuous, more up-tempo based stroke with less leg kick and just trying to hold that tempo through.
Well, doing well, and a dangerous overtaking of the last swimmer in prospect. Don't like to see that, but certainly it can happen, especially in the age group swims as we've got here. 14-year-old Finlay Deans in 9.
He's picking it up well, he's keeping going. I think
16 and 15-year-old. This is very good development for Scottish swimming, having so many youngsters at this age.
Fisher has looked very strong all the way through this, especially in the second half of the race.
And nice to see Fisher working hard through that difficult phase.
Early stages, it's very impressive.
Digging in.
From the man in lane number 5.
He's done well in 3, looking a bit fresher. Patrick Smith. And over there in 0, Vincent from Stirling, still going well. Battle for third place. Second place swimmer going through. You just see that the gap is very difficult to make up. Third place swimmers, I think, noticing each other across the pool and having a private little battle there in third place, and just cutting down the gap there is to the second place swimmer. James Stephen. But you can see that again somebody has taken a hold of this heat swim, and in this case it's Daniel Fisher.
A quick couple of tweets coming in from Stuart Dunstan, wishing all the best to Forest Bluefins and Sasa North athletes, and also from Stuart, all the best to Perth City swimmers. Swim fast. Hope you enjoy the meet, Stuart. And then from Tranent, hope we're looking forward to the finals tonight for East Lothian. Again, hope you're enjoying the competition, hope you guys do well. And Ward Pilgrims, I hope I pronounced that properly. I'm not sure whether that's Dutch or Belgian. I hope you enjoy the meet, Ward. Keep tweeting hashtag SGNC 2014.
Yes, folks, keep those tweets coming in. We'll do our best to put out some of the more interesting messages. Obviously, a lot of good support out there for the swimmers. And still looking very strong. This is a very strong mind at work here in lane 5. Daniel Fisher not letting this go easily. Stroke a little bit more ragged. Tempo just beginning to hurt now, as it should and as it might, as he hears that lovely sound. Going through in 15:47 in first place with 100 to go. His entry time is 16:56. So second place secure to James Stephen, and still a battle for third place between lane zeros, Yozachis of Stirling and Patrick Smith of South Ayrshire. But the heat swim spread all over the pool, different stages of development. And you can see that our leader from an early stage, working his own race, very distinctive style, 15 metres into the wall then. This is Daniel Fisher, a real stamp on this 1500 Heat 3 at the Nationals, and it's 16:53.9. Good swim, 16:56. It's a small improvement on the 1500. You can see what it took out of him, but every improvement is something that you've got to put in your logbook and enjoy.
Finishes just 2 100s.
Remember, these will all be ranked after the event is closed, which will be after Heat 5, the swim in this evening's final session. And the big boys getting a chance to swim, hopefully in front of a huge crowd and a lot of support. Finals, something not to be missed. An early start for them at 17:30. 18:30 Central European time, but 17:30 here in Glasgow at the Tollcross Swim Centre. So the heat results getting closer to you as the technologists get to work. So 16:53, second place went to 17:06, and Stephen James swim, and just completing it, young Finlay Deans, 18:26, just to let you know the spread across the event.
For the last of the small teams.
So heat number 4 readying, the last swim of the first of the 12 sessions here at these critical 2014 National Championships, doubling up as Don't need no more motivation than that. Summers being cleared from the pool. Seemed to be a little technical problem on the giant scoreboard. This is a full dress rehearsal, of course, for the officials and the systems that they're going to use in July, August at the games, and just learning where all the glitches might be. So the pool being cleared, a little bit of light music coming in. Well, putting off a 1500, but here it comes. Well, no Summer in lane 8 on this occasion. Callum Reid of Warnder is out. The ages start to rise. It's 15 through to 18 in the pool. Still good developing athletes. Scott Dean, City of Glasgow in 0. Hamish Milne of Perth. John Wright, North Ayrshire. Morgan Berryman of Ulster. Cameron Donaldson of Tigers on a 16:02 fastest time for the heat. Oliver Bitout of Loughborough, the 18-year-old, is a 16:28 in 5. David McGregor Dumfries, 15 years of age, in 6. Joe Steele in 7 for South Aberdeen. And Mackay, champion of Perth, 16:54 in lane 9. Tobermory Mackay champion, 16-year-old from Perth, completes this heat 4 and the last swim of this first morning session.
Must be a couple of non-Scots in the centre lanes here, Drew. Not sure where the Tigers are based, but if he was Scottish, he would have been in that final heat later on tonight.
Fastest 10 Scots in the lineup from entry times.
Beautiful long strokes coming out from these guys. In particular, Oliver Tout. Really nice stroke to watch there. Not much leg kick, but nice and long and smooth at the front.
Morgan Berryman from Swim Ulster will be trying to achieve the qualification standards for the Northern Ireland team.
Well, we're going to get a real chance this time, David, to compare styles and the interpretation of technique. It's a long spell to have a look at it, but just so different, aren't they?
Yeah, very much so.
Obviously the strokes have some common features, but if you look at the interpretation of the athlete, body type, and that kind of inner perception of what you're doing with the body and your interpretation of coaching input over the years from when you were quite young, you can see that Oliver Bitout in 5, nice long arm action, just pauses slightly on the entry of the left arm, and the legs are just trailing behind, obviously very light in the leg. It just gives a little 2-beat kick just to keep them up there, and that's to reduce that frontal drag on the leg end of the body. It's a nice example of it.
It's very clean in the front end of his stroke as well.
So taking a slight early lead without for Loughborough in 5, 18 years of age. Representing Tigers, Cameron Donaldson in 4. Just on his feet. Out here in 7, Joe Steele of South Aberdeen, a 17-year-old, trying to stay with the race leaders. Again, nice long stroke. Good turn, driving off the wall. You can see that beautiful, steady pace. The first 400 often is a time when you get a feel for how you are, how your technique is, how your fitness is, and it's setting up the rhythm, the pace. So it can take 400 metres or so to get into the rhythm and the pace that you want to be targeting. And then you get into the middle section of the swim between 4 and around about 1200, and you've got to be working in there. You just got to be constantly concentrating, working, holding up, remembering everything that you've done in training and that you did well, and trying to reduce the error. So heat 4, remember, a 16:53. These guys should comfortably get under that on the entry times. It's a big drop from the 16:56s that were entered by Daniel Fisher, who eventually went 16:53, and a 16:02 here for Cameron Donaldson in 4, but it's put out at 16:28 on his entry, who's doing all the early work.
Cameron Donaldson, Tigers of Jersey, position.
And the middle stage then, all down to the work ethic, and this is where the pace swims and the big sets come into play.
That lead there.
Yeah, definitely. They should have settled down by now. They'll be into a rhythm, they'll be into that race plan.
Sorry to cut across you, David, but just notice of Ross Murdoch setting a new British record in the men's 50 breaststroke, a wonderful 27.28, and that's certainly a flash of a flag across the Commonwealth swimmers. And Fraser Kane also setting a national Scottish record in the men's 100 freestyle, and that's on a 101.77.
Unusual name, Little. His mother was very pleased with finally managed the pronunciation of the British Championship.
So in the multi-class category, a nice record for Fraser Kane, joining a very early lighthouse swim by Ross Murdoch, and that will shoot right up the world rankings.
That's not the time for Jersey team.
27.28, pretty swift. Anyway, back to the 15, and sorry about the interruption, David, but we had to draw attention to
no problem at all.
It's
a pretty
fabulous.
amazing thing to see in the first session on British record already in such a world-class swim in the heats. And it just shows you what standard we're getting to and what we've got to come later tonight. It's going to be really exciting.
So this is a qualification meet for the Scottish team.
So what kind of distance would these guys be covering these days?
Oh, you would imagine most of the 1500 guys, I mean, there'll be quite a range because some of them will be, 14, 15 years old. I would imagine they'd be covering 40 to 50,000 metres in a week, right up to these guys leading out the front of this race. I would say that are probably going to be at least 50 to 60. Some a lot more.
Qualification period, which has gone back over the year.
That's 50 to 60,000 metres a week. I would say around about 8 to 10 sessions of around about 5 to 8 kilometres in each session. You wouldn't really find many much shorter than that, and you find a few that go more than that, but not too many.
Well, there's so much contribution from other aspects on the programme, and everything you add in takes its time, and something has to go.
Yeah, and the volume will be essential to prepare for this level of event, but also the quality of what you do is always going to have a massive effect on how well you're able to prepare. It's not always about just doing more or doing more harder. Maintaining that quality and allowing yourself sometimes in the year to take a bit of a break as well, because it can be pretty relentless. I think quite quickly you could plateau yourself if you just end up doing the same type of training all year round. You could just become stuck. So we'll have a little bit of fluctuation and variety in the training, but certainly you can't do it without putting in the hours. That's for sure.
Very slightly, 3.2 seconds there. Just coming back slightly.
Yeah, critical early on to get the body's endurance system properly prepared.
Third position at the moment,
While the body is growing and developing, getting in the proper kind of work, but not at the expense of technique and just putting all that together in a training session day in, day out. And most swimmers doing 2 sessions a day to get that kind of distance in.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to do. A lot of them will be studying and working and have other commitments at the same time, so they'll have early rises and they'll need to develop pretty well in terms of their time management and their self-management of what they do throughout the week, because if you didn't do that, you could burn yourself into the ground pretty quickly, you know.
Yeah, I hope I don't have that effect, because it's a while since I've seen 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, being a retired gentleman of leisure, but
you can come and look after my 2-year-old boy if you like. You'll see it every day.
Oh, well, I blame the coach myself. A little bit of excitement. The leader just beginning to drag the legs separating a little more depth in the legs, a little bit shorter in the stroke, and it's almost as if the wolf is seeing the food in front. And a little pick up here from Donaldson and 4, and hopefully by the time we get to the end of the swim, then we might get a little bit of racing going on. This stage, it looks as though there's a couple of partnerships, but not many, so it's everybody inside their own little shuttle, a little bubble on the 1500. In lane 6, David McGregor trying to hold on to Joe Steele. And Cameron Donaldson of Tigers, 17 years of age, entered on 16:02. Trying very, very hard to come back on the leader. I'm sure that Bitow will be aware of the danger, and he certainly will on the turn. But breathing to the left there, might just not be able to see him. But you're always aware of where your opponent is in the next adjacent lane. So can there be a response from Oliver Bitow of Loughborough as his lead just gets challenged by Donaldson?
Not giving up on him, is he, Cameron? He's really digging away at that lead, bit by bit.
Good battle for third place from the McGregor-Steele combo. And it's McGregor in 6, just starting to cut it out. Said he was on his feet. Now the arms are reaching forward and hitting about ankle high.
You'll see that, Drew, won't you? You'll see his feet there, and it'll give him a bit of encouragement, you know. You'll see those feet starting to come into his vision, and he'll just be trying to just get back onto his hip.
6 swimmers under the qualification standard.
Yeah, we said that there's virtually no action on the leg kick from Oliver Bitow. A little bit of kick to take him into the wall. Maybe a little kick as he comes out. Yeah, just a little flurry there of white water. But generally nothing happening. It's a reaction to the arms going in the alternating pattern, the freestyle. You're just getting a little bit of up and down action at the back. And they had dropped in the early stages. You could see his heels on the surface. Very quiet, very controlled, and a nice application of that kind of technique. Now it looks as if Donaldson's building for a big finish.
250 metres to go, yeah, definitely. This is really shaping up as a great race.
2 great races if David McGregor can just move up a little more on Joe Steele.
As we speak there, Cameron Donaldson trying really hard to get back on terms here. More comfortable in each stroke.
So here they go.
Straining there to try and get back on level terms.
Digging in. It's a long way out to have a sprint home yet.
Yeah.
So you just need to keep your powder dry and not get panicky, and
this could be a good finish for this.
Still a long way to go for those swimmers.
Back on level terms with them though, eh?
Yeah, that was a very, very good last 300. Just pulling up, and Donaldson obviously had an early feel dropping off, and that's in combination with Oliver Bitout's early freshness. But you can see that the tempo of Bitout just fractionally slowing, the head turning a little bit more, the legs getting lower, the hips getting lower, and that extra drag just adds a little bit more weight to the swim and a little bit harder work.
Long time leader, Oliver Bitout.
Well, they hear the bell. Maybe pride at stake in the last 100 as the two swimmers in 6 and 7 go into the wall. Also in a personal battle, feet to the wall, absolutely together. 7 100s between them.
Grandstand finish here.
So
this morning's session, Oliver Bitout.
If we have Cameron Donaldson taking a check to the right into the last 50. Now, is there anything left from Bitout? His legs have been quiet the whole race, so maybe there's something in there.
Turned it on a bit, but I don't think he's got enough.
No. A little bit late in the charge. Good race for third place in this fourth heat, the last swim of the morning session.
Has taken that well.
It's Cameron Donaldson then. 16:53 leads the event. 16:22.8 now leads the event. As we look forward to the final heat in the final session this evening, with Stephen Milne in 4 with a 15:14.9, fastest entry over the 1500. The third, fourth battle, both on 16:36, but the 3/100ths of a difference goes to McGregor in 6. A good swim from the boys in 6 and 7, McGregor and Steele. 16-year-old Scott Deans coming home in lane 0. Might be just a little bit disappointed with that swim. And finally, in lane 1, Hamish Milne, 17-year-old, finishes that heat on 17:19. So the spread 16:22 out to 17:19. Donaldson won the shootout in the last 200, and 16:25 was the second place time by Oliver Bitout.
Almost done with the first session, and the ceremony.
So the session is finished, but there's a few little matters to come. Important presentations as the officials gather their belongings and see the swimmers off the pool deck and head towards lunch. Well, the morning was lit up, of course, by a British record, and in the multi-class a Scottish record. Early outings for Rennick and Miley, the expected stars of the championships and the expected stars of the Commonwealth Games, really. But it's at the first stages, having to qualify for the team. So we're going to have just a couple of presentations in a moment. As the music builds up to escort the crowd out. The crowd, of course, is vastly diminished as everybody tries to get some kind of lunch. And if you're a swimmer, you want to have that lunch and have time to digest it before you might have to get back in.
For the women's multi-classification 200 metres freestyle.
So the women's multi-class 200 freestyle is being presented. That's S14.
And please welcome to make the presentations the Vice President of the Scottish Amateur Swimming Association,
is the swimmer
Eddie Wilmot,
who's getting the gold medal on this occasion. And it looks like April McKee is just keeping her right.
Silver medalist representing REN 96 with 429 disability points, April McKee.
So here we go, S14 multi-class. Regan Doig, women's 200 freestyle,
super performance. 118 disability points,
April McKee
representing Perth City,
getting
Regan Doig.
Silver medal for Perth City. She looks absolutely delighted, as well she might. Well done on your personal swims. Regan Doig and April McKee there to the left. Doig with a plaque, the gold medal and the victory in the 2014 championships. Well, that's it for the first session. Obviously everything's settling into place and getting a rhythm, but it's not really the end of the action, and we'll get a little look at what's going to come up later. We have the important finals session, but in the afternoon, of course, the floor heats for the same events are coming up. And already we have in prospect some marvellous racing, some wonderful results. The swimmers taking every opportunity to be ready for these 2014 Commonwealth Games years and the National Championships as a selection meet. So look forward to another good breaststroke, 100 free battle, the women's 400 IM, and some team events to back it up. Always an exciting race with a 4x200 freestyle, really just anchoring these first day finals.
As a reminder, we'll be opening the pool in 7 minutes time.
Now remember, you can get in touch,
and we get session 2 underway.
and we would look forward to your tweets with great relish, because we know you're out there at SGNC hashtag. It's 2014, SGNC 2014. Get tweeting there and come and join us. We know you're watching. Do be part of this action, because it'll be a long time before the Commonwealth Games, if it survives, of course, given all the discussion, comes back to a Scottish home championships. Want to thank David Leith for his excellent burst into commentating on the streaming, to our sponsors, Glasgow Life, Scottish Gas, and the production team of QTV. And we'll be back in just over an hour. More live action starting 1 p.m. British Standard Time. For now, from me, Drew Gordon, I hope that's been a good introduction and whet your appetite. All of us here at Tollcross International Swimming Centre, it's goodbye, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you.
Was great, but I'm getting ready to make 2014 even better.
It'll be a great night just to catch up, relax, and as a swimmer actually get to dress up and look normal.
And then a chance to see lots of people from all around different parts of swimming and have a good evening with them.
The awards ceremony was fantastic, with most people turned out ever, so years to come it's just going to get bigger and bigger.